Hello and welcome back to Lorehammer. My name is Eric.
Yo, Eric, I'm Mark. Hey,
Hi, Mark.
just real quick,
Yeah. Snappy.
Yeah.
Keep it going. Hey, guys, introduce yourself. What the heck, man?
Go, Christian.
It's
Ramble,
Christian. Hi, I'm here for the last time.
Hey, he's learning. But also joining us, obviously, not for the last time. We could never do that to you, Peter.
No.
Peter. It's Peter. I gave it away.
Spoilers.
Hello, yes.
My own foolishness ruined the surprise. Peter and Chris joining us today for an episode that people have been begging for.
Just fanging for.
They're
some
Howling.
howling.
Oh.
They just. Yeah, we're doing Space
They're
Wolves
as itchy
today,
as
so.
fleas to get this episode.
So we didn't get all the bad puns out of our system beforehand. I thought we did.
We had a full hour and we didn't get rid of them. Doggone it. Stupid.
Yeah, okay, Space Wolf episode. Before we get into that, we'll just do some housekeeping. If you want to support the show, don't forget to support us on Patreon. $1 a month helps us do it and goes a long way.
Yeah.
Very easy, very simple.
And if you are a member of our Patreon already or you're going to join, make sure you come to our Discord. This year we are doing something very similar to Armies on Parade, where we'll have a month devoted to completing a specific section of your army.
Yeah, like a troop or an HQ or...
Exactly. And then if you complete that within the time of the month, Lorehammer, yes, us, we will actually mail you a pin to have and to hold, to cherish for better or for worse. Forever.
In the dark times ahead, have a trying pin. Or have a pin.
Right, have a little pin.
There you go.
But by the time a whole year has passed, and we're starting this in February, probably right around when this episode is coming out.
Yeah.
By the time the year has passed, you will have a collection of pins that are all unique, all slightly different, but all branded Lorehammer. So it should be a very cool thing to participate
So when you
in.
walk up to that gaming table and you got your vest all pinned out, you look like a 5-star general.
That's right.
You can thank us.
That's right. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
It was us who did that for you. But yeah, if you're looking for a place to even just do some hobbying or modeling, or you just want to hang out with some people who like 40K, come hang out on our Discord.
Yeah, it's very cool. Very fun.
Cool.
And one other thing. Okay, I got another podcast. I got a podcast called Pillow Talk with Mark and B. So if you guys like listening to Lorehammer, but your girlfriend hate listening to Lorehammer,
which is probably the case.
It's usually the case. Come listen to Pillow Talk. You can still listen to me. Your girlfriend can listen to B. It'll be perfect. It's fun. We just did an episode on communication and just talking, so it was nice. Come listen, Pillow Talk.
Was it a silent episode?
No. That would be the first thing about communication is it's usually, verbal or written down or I don't know. You don't just sit.
I blink in Morse is the only way I choose to communicate with my partner.
That explains so much.
Yeah. Aha. Cool.
All right.
Well, that's
well. That was the fastest. Like, you'd think. Okay, that's it. We're in the episode. Let's fucking talk about Space Wolves.
Yeah.
All right, so the Black Templar were founded just after the Corsairs.
Yeah, I just want to say one more thing before I get into it. So I've literally chosen all the episodes up until now, and I'm like, hey, Eric, do you want to choose just one episode? He's like, yeah, Space Wolves. Didn't even think. I don't know. Why, Eric? Why did you choose Space Wolves? Why are you going to do this to us?
Truthfully, I think every single episode that would be on like my top desperate must-do list, we have done. We've done a lot of cool Necron ones. We've done Grey Knights, which obviously I love.
Templar.
We did Templar, which was our very first chapter, like Space Marine chapter doing, and that kind of gets out a lot of the. It tempers the fire, The burning desire has been slowly tempered, and now I have a slow burn rage in me, and this rage is going to definitely come out over the course of this episode. I figured, what we should do is we should just do an episode that everyone, and I repeat, everyone has been asking for. I'm pretty sure within like the first 2 months, we got a request for a Space Wolves episode.
So you're just trying to appease the people.
I'm a people pleaser.
Oh, perfect. That's fine.
I got hands for people pleasing, mouths for people pleasing. Pretty much any part of me I can use to please people. So
that's canon. Okay. That's out there in the canon of Lorehammer.
And I actually enjoy finding unique ways to please people.
Okay.
Join me on my podcast
Eric the people pleaser.
where I explore new ways of pleasing you. So,
That's nice. That's nice.
Space Wolves.
Space Wolves.
Let's start off in what has become kind of a fashion for us. Let's start off with a quote. And here we go. The sons of Fenris they are, hardened in the forge of their harsh world, eager for battle and honor. They are the gray warriors, ashen like the wolf, whose greatest joy is to hear the clamor of steel amidst the din of war. And that is quoted as being from the Space Wolves Catechism.
Ah.
All right, so let's dive straight into the history of the Space Wolves, and there's no better place to start than at the beginning, I think.
Yep.
So that's the Great Crusade. Founded as the 6th Legion within the Gene Vaults on Luna. Even before their noted aggression from the Gene Seed and their harsh environments on Fenris, their stock was taken from a range of savage and hyper-violent tribesmen from Terra. It's interesting to note that even prior to like what the legions would become known for, you can kind of see like selective pickings from like their stock initially created, or like the Space Wolves are going to be super violent, so let's take them from like a very violent stock, you know. Yeah, I thought it was weird. I didn't know if it felt like a little shoehorned in, you know, like it's unnecessary a little bit because they're just Space Wolves and Space Marines.
Yeah, like everyone recruits from violent places.
That's right,
like,
yeah.
It's like, okay.
Who was like, we're going to recruit from this nursery that has the most loving and tender
Families and parents.
Yeah.
The most stable upbringing.
Oh, you've never hurt anyone in your life? You're a perfect candidate for us. After the 6th creation, they were actually held away from the unification wars on Terra and the conquering of the Sol system. And it wasn't even until 10 years into the Great Crusade that the Emperor deployed them for the first time, which was under his direct command in the Battle of Delsvin. And at this point, the Legion was only 3,500 Battle Brothers strong, which is a stupid low number for a Legion.
Yeah. Normally they're like 100,000 or...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like 100,000, I believe, in like the height of the Great Crusade, which spanned, you know, some 100, 200 years. How long was the Great Crusade?
200 years.
200, yeah. So like a moderate number for a Legion at that point was around 100,000.
Yeah.
So 3,500, really low.
It's cool they fought by the Emperor, too.
Yeah, the first time they deployed was
Yeah.
under his direct command, which is interesting. And I thought it was a little odd that they were held back for so long. But, you know, special got to be special.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah, like some weren't even around till like even 100 years into the Crusade, though, I think.
They just like weren't deployed.
Yeah, like they didn't have the numbers.
I thought
or
most
like...
Space Marines were at least used during the Unification Wars.
No. Unification Wars is all just like Thunder Warriors and stuff.
Okay.
I think the Dark Angels might have been the only ones to deploy that early, too.
Okay.
I think they were one of the first to be deployed.
Maybe I'm reading into it when it said they were held back during the Unification Wars. They must have at least existed at that point then, but specifically not been used.
Yeah.
So, it only took a single campaign for them to showcase their propensity for violence and savagery. They quickly became known for their lack of discipline and their quickness to violence, as shown by the slaughter of civilians in the Malorian Revolt. And what was supposed to just be like this surgical strike against the rebellious leadership became an all-out assault against all the civilians in the capital city of Malaria.
Yeah.
And apparently they just like killed so many civilians on this planet that it threatened the entire planet's capacity to like be an industrial machine.
Oh.
Now you know why the Emperor was holding them back.
Like
This was a mistake.
How many billions do they have to get through?
How'd they even have enough ammo?
They just
start using your fists
Yeah,
and
they just
teeth.
dig their claws into skulls and rip apart, and then they move on and do it to the next person.
For the Emperor, of course.
Who's telling them
We are
not to
so
do it,
loyal, okay?
but also
man.
very disobedient, apparently.
It was because of these violent acts that the Legion instituted a rank of Consul Obsequiari. I don't know exactly how to say it. But it was a rank of Space Wolf Battle Brother, and it was their job to make sure that the other Battle Brothers followed orders and like kind of towed the line. They even had the right to execute other members of the Legion with impunity.
Oh, crazy.
Was the first one named Caesar Milan by chance?
Yeah, I thought that was odd that they could just like execute brothers and they're like not even questioned for it.
Yeah.
But
It sounds like, a precursor to chaplain.
that was what I wrote.
Yeah.
I was kind of like, okay, it sounds very similar to how a chaplain would, look out for corruption in the Battle Brothers. How's their mental health doing, you know? Or have you seen too much war, at this point?
Let me retire you like a dog behind the shed.
Oh, no.
By the end of the second decade of the Great Crusade, so it's really only like 10 years into their entire career, the Sixth had earned a reputation as the Emperor's agents of fear, retribution, even the executioners of the Emperor, and they were commonly called the Rout. So,
Crazy.
just more crap about them being super brutally violent, brutally savage, not really caring about, what's it called? When you didn't need civilians.
Collateral damage.
That's right. Not really caring about any collateral damage that they put out.
These guys sound like Chaos Marines before Chaos Marines.
Yeah, it's kind of
Like
crazy.
World Eaters and freaking Night Lords mixed together, but before they were a thing.
Yeah. The second Primarch to be found, the Emperor sought Russ out after hearing rumors of a Wolf King. When the Emperor found his way to Fenris, Russ challenged him to 3 contests. Losing the first 2, I believe, which was eating and drinking.
Yeah.
Classic contests upon Fenris, apparently. The Emperor eventually bested Russ in combat, which took hours. Which is
Days?
stupid.
Weeks?
Mountains
Weeks
crumbled
slowly
around
turned
them.
to months, turned to years. So after, he defeated Russ in combat, he revealed his true nature. I am the god you've been waiting for. I am your father, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Russ was then given command of his legion, and Fenris was claimed as the homeworld of the newly minted Space Wolves.
Cool.
If I'm not mistaken, isn't he also one of the few to challenge the Emperor upon meeting him? Like most Primarchs were like,
Yeah, like Vulcan
Instantly.
And
did.
didn't
and,
Ferrus Manus do something with him as well?
Yeah.
but it's not often. Like a
Yeah,
lot
it's
of them
not all-
recognize him as their
Yeah.
father or god or kinship of some kind. And
Yeah. I also don't think the Emperor doesn't always necessarily hide himself on his first meeting. Like, he can't hide himself from Magnus. There's no hiding.
Yeah,
that.
Magnus will know who you are.
And I even believe Sanguinius he didn't hide himself from. So it could be that his disguise is just amazing and you truly don't know. I don't know.
Takes off his beard.
It was me the whole time.
The glasses, that nose and the mustache.
But he's still wearing the golden armor.
Absolutely,
And like,
yeah. He's still 50
glowing.
feet tall, with a halo. And you never even knew.
Great disguise.
Yeah. Peter, do you want to pick up the next part?
Yeah, of
We're on
course.
point 6.
Over the next 2 centuries of fighting in the Great Crusade, the Space Wolves traveled the galaxy, claiming many worlds for the Imperium. But while they were effective in their campaigns, they were not also easy to fight alongside. So one of the more memorable grudges that the Space Wolves have is against the Dark Angels. So there are a few different accounts of how it happened, but at some point, both the Lion and the Wolf swore oaths of vengeance against the other, and this rivalry has filtered its way down through the legions and then chapters for over 10,000 years.
It just they don't get along really with anyone. And I think the Dark Angel fight with them is one of the stupider feuds that they have. Like, Russ laughs it off at one point and he thinks it's all a big joke, and then
a Primarch, this god being, gets butt hurt.
Yeah,
over
yeah,
it,
yeah,
And they
ex-
declare a 10,000 long feud.
exactly,
Yeah, it's kind of childish,
It's
like,
really stupid. And then like it results in actual like blood being spilled between between these chapters, and I don't know, it just seems like one of those stupid unnecessary things.
Yeah.
that just describes the Imperium perfectly.
Yeah, I suppose.
I'm nothing if
Stupid
not-
and unnecessary.
Wait a minute.
You're hired. You're now general.
The Space Wolves also had strained relations with the World Eaters and the Thousand Sons, and both of those confrontations came to blows and more blood being spilled.
Yeah.
It's important to note, I think, the quickness and ease at which the Space Wolves seem to find themselves at odds with other chapters.
Yeah, how easily they're able to just murder people on the spot
Yeah,
with
like one
impunity.
Well, when you don't have those civilians to kill anymore.
Let out your rage. It seems healthy and normal.
Yeah, it feels like a one-off is one thing. You
Yeah.
know, like, sure, you have your feud with the Dark Angels and maybe like, stupid Dark Angels, and they're like, stupid Space Wolves. But the Space Wolves are like, all of you! Everybody can fuck off! You know? They're just, it's a little too much from them.
Yeah, they got in their mind that they're the top dog for sure.
The top dog!
When they're not.
Some custodes even talk about how the 6th Legion was responsible for the disappearance of the 2 lost legions, acting as the Emperor's executioners.
So that's at least 5 legions now that they're actively physically engaged with. I think that's the line with them, with the Custodes. I think that's like a throwaway line. But everything I've seen, I actually really like thinking that they had a direct hand in like the disappearance or the culling or the disbandment of those 2 legions. I think it makes sense.
Yeah, I was never a big fan of like the whole Emperor has each Primarch is a different tool. Russ is the executioner, you know.
His loyal dog.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I feel
Do you have a different thing that you like thinking about those 2 lost legions?
like they could have been involved still, Space Wolves, but who knows what that could have been like, and I don't think they're the ones who like did it all and like ganked entire chapters. Like they don't have the numbers for it even.
They definitely don't when you're going off of like their initial numbers for sure.
Like I don't know, it seems like one of those things. I don't know. I was never a big fan of the Emperor's executioners. Like, okay, Emperor, make better product then. If you already like, okay, I know half of you guys are gonna turn. I'm gonna need an executioner here. I don't know. I don't know.
They're fail-safe built in. No.
Yeah, sure.
No, like even Black Library kind of walked that line back a bit themselves. And
I thought the Custodian line was very new.
No, well, it was in the earlier Horus Heresy books, and then as the Horus Heresy books came out after, they kind of walked it back a little bit. So we still don't know exactly what happened to the Lost Legions and how involved the Space Wolves were.
Sure.
So it's not like a one-for-one. They actually
I don't think that line
executed
alludes to anything beyond the fact that the Space Wolves were involved.
to some extent. But then there's the rumors about the Ultramarines and
like
all kinds of other
taking
rumors.
in that like influx of people.
Extra recruits,
But it makes sense to me only because it feels like every time I read about Space Marine on Space Marine violence, it's the Space Wolves. And the only thing that can truly like force another legion to disband and like throw away everything would be another legion, you know.
Sure.
Like the Imperial Navy isn't gonna do it. So
Sure.
yeah. I don't despise it.
It's not the worst.
No. We're going to go into much worse things in this episode. So thank goodness we didn't hit that this early. And by the end of the Crusade, the Legion's numbers were in the range of 95,000 to 100,000. And this is like a moderate size, but it's still quite a ways away from their top strength, which was 130,000 Battle Brothers at like some point in the Great Crusade.
Nice.
So they went from 3,500 all the way up to 130,000 and down to around 100,000.
Nice.
So a pretty decent sized chapter.
Yeah.
Legion, sorry.
All right, moving on to the Council of Nikaea. The council is often called by Imperial scholars by another name, the Trial of Magnus, and many see it as the final nail in the coffin for the schism between the Primarchs Magnus and Russ and their respective legions. It took place in 001 M31. Is that how you read the dates?
Yeah.
Point 31. On a planet called Nikaea, which was empty save for the amphitheater created for this purpose. It was one of the last times that so many important figures of the Imperium would gather in one place before Horus's betrayal.
This amphitheater is pretty cool. It's like built inside a volcano or some shit.
Yeah.
And they have like force fields holding out the magma.
It was like I think it was a, some kind of like theater or something before, blanking so hard. Somewhat Perturabo built it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, one of the Primarchs definitely did, and it wasn't Dorn. So Perturabo, that's
Probably.
that's the next like one that makes sense. So yeah, he built it, and it's on this planet that's supposed to be in its like primordial stages. So yeah, it's constantly having like volcanoes and crazy
Earthquakes.
storms. You can't even like see the surface of the planet because there's so much interference and stuff. Yeah, it's a pretty cool place. It sounds very cool.
Perfect spot for a secret meeting.
That's right. A secret trial.
Or like a
witch hunt, some might say.
and like a evil villain's lair.
Yeah.
Emperor's lair.
Meanwhile,
perhaps.
in the Council of Nikaea.
Sure.
While Magnus was convinced that the council would vindicate his legion's existence as psykers, Russ was attending with 3 great companies of his legion to act, in his mind, as a deterrent in case Magnus became confrontational. Keeping in mind that the Space Wolves had been involved in many Astartes versus Astartes conflicts and may even have destroyed 2 other legions under the Emperor's orders.
Yeah, I don't think any other chapter had as nearly as big of or legion had nearly as big of a presence in this thing.
Yeah, I don't recall it.
Yeah, I remember like Primarch showing up with like delegates, like a small squad of their
Like-
most trusted advisors and things.
Yeah,
but-
even Magnus, he shows up with Ahriman, and like a couple other sorcerers, and like that's it. But Russ is here with 30,000 Space Marines.
a little overkill.
Yeah.
The first to speak to the assembled council was a space wolf Rune Priest called Othir Weirdmake. As a psyker himself, it was a deep betrayal when he renounced the Thousand Sons and all psykers in front of everyone, claiming them to be deceivers, sorcerers, and warlocks who would only destroy those around them and threaten the Imperium entirely.
That's a really cool moment. I think I read this one in
It's in one of the earlier heresy books.
about like Magnus, like how deep it like cut him when he realized the true intention of what was happening. Yeah. I like Magnus for the most part, and I think this was like a pretty big blow to him. So
You wrote this episode, Eric.
Magnus is the best, and he did nothing wrong.
And the Space Wolves were wrong for wronging him. The culmination of this council was the Emperor himself declaring that no longer would the legions employ psykers of any kind past their need for astropaths and navigators, and their librarius department would be disbanded and the Battle Brothers reassigned. Russ felt vindicated in this sentencing, as he had never trusted Magnus, even as he hypocritically overlooked the Rune Priests within his own legion. I'm glad you brought that up.
That is such a source of bullshit. Like the Emperor, he's like looking right at Magnus as he's like, if you fuck with me, Magnus, if you use sorcery, I will like rain fire down on you. Russ, yes, my son, come here and let me pet you because you are beautiful and do no wrong.
Oh, you guys just use the elements?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Are you going to dive into that later? Or do you want to talk about it now?
No. We talk about the powers on
Okay.
Fenris much later.
Okay.
Yeah.
As long as you bring it up.
We do.
It needs to be brought
We
up.
go back into it.
Okay.
But yeah, that was like that's a pretty big turning point. I think it really sets up the conflict for like one of the biggest battles in the Horus Heresy between Russ and Magnus and for their legion. So they just have this like really long-standing vendetta against each other. So, and I think it's all born here in the Council of Nikaea.
Space Wolves have always been distrustful of psykers, despite, again, the hypocrisy. But there is, like, not just Magnus, but like all Space Wolves are kind of don't trust. They call it the weird, and like anything kind of mystical or magical, they just instinctively don't trust it.
Yeah.
So, just as a note.
Yeah, oh yes, they hate all psykers, absolutely, but they seem to have a special compartment in their hearts
Special hate
of rage.
compartment,
Yeah,
yeah.
special rage compartment
Yeah.
specifically for the Thousand Sons.
The Horus Heresy. In the beginning of Horus's treachery, Malkador the Sigillite requested that teams of Space Wolves be sent out to the many of the legions to oversee the remaining Primarchs. Those sent to the Night Lords and Alpha Legions were killed outright, and even the Blood Angels accidentally killed their team in a fit of red thirst. This only served to increase Russ' distrust of other legions.
Yeah, him and his legion have already come to blows with probably 5 other legions. And now we've just added 3 more to this list. Like, they get into conflict with so many other Astartes, more than any other legion for sure.
It's like that Simpsons thing about the Scots. Oh, you Scots are contentious people.
Scots and other Scots.
Yeah. Damn Scots, they ruined Scotland.
Russ and his legion was not present during the drop site massacre, nor at the Siege of Terra, as he was preoccupied with his mission focused on his 1,000 sons. One of the more tragic tales of the Horus Heresy, Russ' initial orders from the Emperor were for him and his legion to pick up the Primarch Magnus on his homeworld of Prospero and escort him back to Terra to be punished for breaking the Edict of Nikaea, stating that no sorcery was performed.
Yeah, this was Magnus broke through a bunch of the Emperor's protective barriers on Terra.
So what ended up happening is Magnus found out that Horus was actually turning. So then he sent a message to Terra, to the Emperor, but in order to get that message, he had to break all these webway gate
Psychic wards
and stuff.
That the Emperor had erected to protect Terra.
Yeah. And then, the palace gets flooded by demons. So then the Emperor sends Magnus to go reprimand them.
Yeah. He says, Russ, go pick up Magnus, bring him back. It's time that I put a lock and ball and chain on this bad boy, sit him on the throne.
Yeah.
It's the punishment stool, really. It's what it is.
Horus, however, had other plans, and after intercepting that order, he changed it to cause an all-out assault by the Space Wolves on Prospero, calling it the Burning of Prospero. Though the planet itself was razed, the majority of 1,000 Suns escaped into the Eye of Terror and were they were doggedly pursued by the 13th Company of Space Wolves.
Rough.
Which included the Wolfenkin kind. This great company would not be seen for the next 10,000 years.
Yeah, they just disappeared into the Eye of Terror,
on the hunt.
Faithfully
chasing the heels of their prey.
But yeah, that whole battle's crazy. It's a whole legion against another legion. They wipe out a whole planet essentially.
I mean, that's what you I think you gotta have that if you're doing legion on legion. It's in their fortress world.
Yeah.
How many places do they have around the planet? Where they have arsenals of power and other inventory and weapons. You got to destroy the entire planet.
Yeah.
It's just for safety,
and especially when it's warp touched or whatever.
Absolutely,
so.
yeah. It's also a sign of corruption has taken over the entire planet.
Yeah.
So
They also brought with them Custodies and Sisters of Silence, which I can't remember how it all plays out because I read the novel and I think you read the novel too. Yeah. But this was years ago when it first came out. How can Constantine Valdor, so he himself, who's head of the Custodies at the time, accompanies Russ and the Space Wolves in the Burning of Prospero personally? How can that message get screwed up when the guys who are literally there when the order is issued? I can't remember if Valdor was on Terra when he initially orders that.
Yeah, I don't.
Is it just a massive plot hole I just stumbled across?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
I can't remember entirely. I think is it possible the order, Constantine just didn't know the details of the order that were given to Russ?
It's possible. Anything's possible in 40K, but
it does seem like
it's starting to stretch my.
Yeah, the custody. They're just so deep in the Emperor's confidence.
Right, exactly. I'm sure he would. Maybe.
I feel like he would have told them. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's got to be something around it. Maybe Horus wiped Constantine Valdor's mind.
Or he says there's been a change in orders while they're already en route.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And he's already gone.
And you get an order from Horus, you're okay, sure.
Yeah.
Sure, whatever.
It's not like Horus is gonna lie to us. He'd never do that.
Yeah, because as soon as Constantine leaves Terra, anything coming from the Emperor,
right,
he would
exactly.
accept as from the Emperor.
Or Horus in his stead.
Yeah.
Oh no, the Emperor changed his mind. It's actually all-out war. Torch the planet.
Oh, problem
Leave
solved.
no survivors.
Leave no survivors. Oh.
Harried by a trade of forces, the 6th Legion was unable to make it to Terra in time for the final confrontation, much to Russ's despair and regret. His anger stewed for some 200 years until one day at the feast on Fenris, he announced he was leaving.
That took a while.
Yeah.
Well, we're glossing over the Codex Astartes,
Sure.
Russ really didn't like it, so he almost went to war with against Gilliman.
You Space Wolves are contentious people.
A violent lot, some might say. But yeah, so we're kind of skipping a lot of that because it doesn't really affect anything in the future.
Yeah, we all know the outcome of the Horus Heresy. They weren't really involved in that part.
Yeah, the only there's the Codex, and then they kind of just
things built up over time
until Russ finally
Finally.
decided, that's it.
Enough
I'm
is
leaving.
enough. Okay.
Yeah.
So Russ led a force into the Eye of Terror, searching for a chance at revenge. Though he was never seen again, he had promised that he would return for the final battle, for the wolf time.
For the wolf time.
Yeah.
Still waiting for the wolf time.
Yeah.
You'd think that, Noctis Aeterna, Imperium Nihilus,
Yeah.
the Gork's Grin. Those might be indicators that the wolf time is coming, Russ. And it's high
of those-
time to come back.
None of those are wolf-like, though. It has to be very explicitly.
Wolf's Grin? Huh?
All
The
right.
wolf smile? The long night? That could be Noctis Aeterna. Isn't that actually what it translates to? Is the eternal
Night, yeah.
Yeah. That sounds like something wolves like. You slap a moon on there, you got yourself a stew. All right, now we are entering the age of the Imperium. For years, the Space Wolves waited for their Wolf King to return, but alas, he never did. Sometime after, actually only like 7 years or something, Bjorn the Fell-Handed was named the Great Wolf, leader of the Space Wolf Legion, and it was him that called the first Great Hunt. And the Great Hunt has been called some 30 times in the past 10,000 years, and it's always like the focus on the hunt is like finding Russ. Like, none of them, I think, believe that they're actually going to find Russ, but they go search for clues of
Sure.
like where they think he is or where he's
Try
been.
to find droppings.
Yeah, exactly. Little bits of hair, and
Yeah,
fur, shed claws everywhere.
exactly.
Smells like wolf shit. We're on the right path. Oh gosh. Okay. So the entirety of the chapter participates these great hunts, and they search the stars looking for clues to his whereabouts. These great hunts always inspire the Space Wolves to great deeds and rousing victories, and many of their largest blows to the enemies of the Imperium have been struck during these great hunts. It's pretty neat, when the hunt finally ends, all the Space Wolves, without fail, gather back at the Fang. They have these huge celebrations and feasts and carousing and drinking and song telling.
Storytelling.
Bjorn is inevitably awoken from his long slumber
Yeah.
to hate his existence once again, recount tales of when he walked the land with the God King. And yeah, it's a pretty cool time. I like the Great Hunts, the idea. It's cool.
yeah.
I like that it seems to, like, there's only 30 out of 10,000 years.
Sure.
Yeah, it's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you could probably go entire generations of Space Marines, of Space Wolves, with no Great Hunt ever being called. And then one is called, And apparently they're commonly called when Space Wolves receive visions of Russ.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, he visits them in their dreams or in their mind's eye or whatever.
Yeah.
And he tells them, now is the time for the Great Hunt. Search for me. Look in this system.
Why don't you come to us, you jerk?
Search for me. As he leaves.
He likes to be pursued.
Dogs like chasing their own tails.
the chase. Yeah. The Space Wolves were extremely active throughout the last 10,000 years, bringing forth their emperor-given fury against his foes. And here are some of their more notable encounters prior to the Ultima Founding. So they do a lot of things between M30 and M40, but the coolest things happen.
They do about like 10,000 years of things.
Yeah.
That's a lot to cover.
But the coolest things happen in M40. So we're going to start in 445, M41. The Months of Shame. So in the aftermath of the First War for Armageddon conflict, the Space Wolves moved to protect Imperial Guard and civilians from Armageddon from inquisitorial purges, leading to first kind of a Cold War where the Space Wolves refused to fire upon other Imperium
Vessels.
stuff. Vessels. And then eventually it becomes a direct clash between the two powers, and at the very peak of the conflict, the inquisitorial force brings their entire army to Fenris, and their intention is to just lay siege to the planet and destroy this chapter legion.
Yeah, that's crazy. The Fang's known as like the second most fortified place in the entire Imperium.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think the Terra is the first one.
Sure,
obviously.
the palace.
Yeah. But yeah, like that's a ballsy move for the Inquisition to walk up to a founding legion and try to wipe them out. How'd that go for them?
I have gripes against almost every part of this month of shame. So let's work down the list.
Okay. 37 points.
Welcome to my PowerPoint. So first of all, if if the Inquisition has decided that this population has come into too much contact with chaos, with the warp, and they need to be put down, and someone actively stops them, that's bad.
Yeah, that's almost like taking the side of the force of
chaos.
Of chaos.
So, some would say you're serving chaos.
Some would say.
Not me, of course. You know, I would never say anything bad about the Space Wolves. But some might say that. So, yeah, first of all, that's red flag number 1. Strike 1.
Yeah.
Red flag number 2, the Grey Knights are actively involved in combat against these Space Wolves. Now, participating in the culling, I can see it. Space Wolves are very good at, like, mind-wiping powers. Like, a single Battle Brother could probably mind-wipe 1 million inhabitants, you know, very quickly. You know, they just walk through and everyone's blank now.
Yeah.
But to force the Grey Knights, whose entire duty is to fight
Chaos.
actual warp chaos thing,
Yeah.
demon stuff, to be like, nah, actually, we're going to pull you away from those front lines, and we're going to cause you to fight other Marines. It's so stupid.
Yeah, it's not any of their place to do any
No,
of that.
it's not. Like,
Yeah.
and you can say the Inquisition, like, they're under the orders of the Inquisition, they have to listen to them. Like, I think that's true, but only up to a certain point. I think that if an Inquisition, if an Ordo Xenos guy comes to a Grey Knight and says, hey, I need help fighting this Xenos population. And the Grey Knight says, cool, are they attuned to the warp? And the guy says, no, why? That's stupid.
Why would you ask?
Yeah, and the Grey Knight says, okay, bye.
Yeah.
You have
You
other
know?
people to do that.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're wasting a very
Yes.
specialized tool on something that they're not
Yes.
used for.
The Grey Knight is not. It's not worth risking his life against a Space Wolf when he needs it to protect the Imperium from a demon. So I don't like any of the conflict between Grey Knights and Space Wolves.
Especially since they just finished the first war for Armageddon, which is like this huge war where like the demon prince
Angron
comes and wipes out a whole bunch of planets. So the Space Wolves and the Grey Knights get together, mind you. This is maybe a month before the month of shame. They're battle brothers. They're homies.
Yeah.
Fighting side by side,
some of these
killing
Marines,
demons.
some of these Marines
Like-
haven't slept yet.
Yeah,
You know, they're
exactly.
still in
Wipe the
battle.
blood off their armor.
Exactly.
You know, and then they banish Angron, and they're like, "High five, buddy!" Like, you know, like. And then all of a sudden they're like, "No,
Actually. So yeah, I don't like any
It's
of the
all
conflict.
weird.
I think they could have really done that.
And it's not like the Inquisition can't summon other resources, and even Space
Some
Marine
would say
hunting resources.
Any other resource
Yeah.
would work before Grey Knights.
Minotaurs.
Oh,
or,
man.
So
During this, so they're in this like weird little like blockade situation. They're both in their fleets or whatever. The Inquisition's on one side of the system. Russ and his guys are on the other. Not Russ, but the Space Wolves are.
Yeah.
And then the chapter master, Logan Grimnar, decides to go parlay. They try to do a talk or whatever. So he goes to the flagship of
have
like,
some high tea or something.
have some high tea,
Yeah.
you know, talk like civilized gentlemen.
Of course.
You know, we're both Imperials.
Sounds like
we're
Space
both,
Wolves.
Yeah, we're both loyalists.
gentlemen.
We can come.
We're gonna let you on the ship just to see what you guys were trying to say. We're gonna try to decipher this.
Yeah, so he makes his way onto his ship and he approaches like the Grand Master of the Grey Knights.
A grandmaster.
Grand Master. One of the most powerful guys in the Imperium.
Yeah.
And then he just decides to gank him. Just kill
He
them.
says, "Hey, you didn't follow the rules of parlay. Meh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna kill you."
And then he just kills him. Literally just kills him and teleports away. And yeah, it's crazy.
I have yet to see any excommunicata Tritoris symbols stamped over the Space Wolves.
Yeah, and
Come
keep in mind,
on.
those two are fighting Angron side by side a day later or a day earlier.
it's
so
stupid.
weird. It's so weird.
Yeah,
He
I don't
also
think
killed him with a chaos axe, by the way.
We'll get into that.
the hole gets deeper.
yeah, this is all.
It gets worse. The story gets worse.
Yeah, but it's a whole thing. I know lots of people like the Months of Shame, and it's kind of cool that like, yeah, they try to defend the population, but it's just like,
I really like the idea of Space Wolves standing up for what they view as innocence.
Sure.
Because there is like a sense of nobility and even like a chivalry
And
aspect
savagery
to
at
it.
the same time, almost. Like
Well,
a
it's we're
noble
willing to commit
savage.
savagery to protect innocence. I mean, it's a far cry from their sacking of Malorian, where they
They themselves.
Lesson. Yeah. Maybe we shouldn't kill all the civilians.
all but some.
just most. It's a process.
Half. I'll settle for half.
Nobody's perfect on day one, you know. Gosh, I'm getting better. But like, I think any other force that the Inquisition would choose to draw from would be better than Space Wolves, even if it was some stupid Imperial Guard regiment or even another Space Marine Legion. I just don't like the Grey Knights being involved in things that aren't Grey Knight
And
members.
having fucking chapter masters killed.
I choose to believe that didn't happen.
Like,
I choose, and that's my choice. Okay.
Okay. Well, yeah. Go look at. There's a whole lot of information in the Month to Shame, and there is some cool stuff, and there's a lot to unpack there. But we'll skip past a lot.
In the end, like Bjorn is actually woken up.
Yeah.
For this, once the Inquisitorial forces arrive at Fenris. And it looks like a siege and like all out war is inevitable.
Yeah.
Bjorn wakes up and he's like, fools, like, why are you fighting the Inquisition? And then he's like, I'm gonna go talk to them. He goes talk to them and he demands that the Inquisition never ever comes back to Fenris.
Oh, okay.
And you know what they do? They say, oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Of course, Bjorn. Anything for you, Bjorn. You want me to oil your machine armor? Anything. You want me to swap out your ornaments? Oh, yeah. Anyways.
Wolf tail, yeah.
Frustrating.
Yeah, it's a situation.
So let's move on to another 400 years.
Thank God.
Yeah, nothing could be that stupid again, right? Okay, here we go. 886 M41. The Fenris Incident.
Okay.
The ecclesiarchy arrives at Fenris to investigate a claim of their worship of pagan gods. The Space Wolf orbital defenses fire upon the ecclesiarchy vessel, chasing it away. And almost a year later, an ecclesiarchy fleet and 3 orders of the Adeptus Sororitas attempt to land on Fenris by force. A 3-week war erupts before the ecclesiarchy decides to withdraw.
I have never heard of this one before. I want to read about this more, but
I didn't. This was kind of all I saw on this one, unfortunately.
It's so crazy that they've waged war now with the Inquisition and the ecclesiarchy.
At what point are you not a traitor?
Are you forgetting?
Yeah, what?
Mark, please don't forget about the times that they waged war against other Space
Oh
Marines.
yeah.
as well.
Oh yeah. What the?
Yeah. Is there anyone they haven't fought with at this point? Like, at this point, if you're a member of the Imperium and you haven't fought the Space Wolves,
What's wrong with us?
You're kind of a bitch, yeah. Like, you're the...
Well, they're the
person-
alpha dogs, so they're just putting everyone else in their place.
You're the person who's like, the Space Wolves, they like, you're not a threat. I don't even care about that. You're nothing. Yeah. Right. I would rather go fight the ecclesiarchy, you stupid idiot.
Crazy.
And then the final thing that I think is one of their cool moments, actually, happened in 999 M41, and it's called the Hunt for the Wolfen. And the Wolfen returned from the Eye of Terror. This is the 13th great company that actually disappeared during the Burning of Prospero.
Sure.
So the Wolfen returned from the Eye of Terror amid a series of great warp storms across the Imperium. The Space Wolves sought to gather the Wolfen as a clue to find Leman Russ. And that sounds so cool to me. That sounds like prophecy being fulfilled. Like that company disappears 10,000 years ago, and all they have are legends.
Yeah.
About this company,
Yeah.
like there was a 13th company, and it's lost.
I
in the
swear
war.
they were werewolves.
Shut Jonas up again. He's too far into the mead. But I love it. It sounds like prophecy. You hear whispers of the Wolfen making a return. You're like, whoa, hold on. Russ can't be that far behind if the Wolfen are coming.
Yeah.
And so the hunt for the Wolfen was it's kind of similar to a great hunt where everyone in the chapter participated, and they went out over the entire galaxy hunting for these Wolfen because Grimnar and Bjorn were like, man, we can't let the Inquisition get their hands on these guys because they'll think we're like mutants.
On top of all the other stuff that they already think about us.
So they were like, we gotta get the...
At what point are you not the bad guys again? We're harboring mutants now.
Like 10 points ago, they were the bad guys. But yeah, they're hunting for these Wolfen. They think they're clues that will lead them to Russ, but they also want to protect them from the Inquisition. Like, I really like that aspect of it. The hunting for prophecy and feeling like you're living and like these are the wolf times and we'll do our best. Like, that's a very cool image for me.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. So that was what I chose to share with everyone about the Age of the Imperium.
Nice. Yeah. They did a lot of stuff. Like they defended the Imperium for 10,000 years.
Yeah, they had a huge portion to play in the 13th Black Crusade.
Oh yeah.
Like I think he committed all 12. Like Logan committed all 12 great companies to the Black Crusade, which I don't think any other chapter like sent their full force.
I think a few did actually.
Okay.
Yeah. Some of the minor chapters.
Oh, okay. It feels a little less special when like you're not a founding.
Yeah. They all obviously are the big dogs.
They're a
in the
big
yard.
one. Yeah. And Logan, I think he even commanded a lot of the forces.
Yeah, he was elected the leader of all Imperial forces. So he's
that's a pretty big deal.
commanding all the Cadians and every other regiment that shows up and the other Space Marines that show up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
Let's talk about the Ultima Founding. So originally wary of their non-Fenris-born brothers, Chapter Master Logan Grimnar initially refused to have the Grey Shields join his chapter. His fear was that Guilliman was using these reinforcements as a way to infiltrate and control the chapters.
They also didn't have Wolf in their title enough. So. You can't roll with us.
Of course, these are the Primaris that came out of Mars.
Yeah.
Thank you, Call.
Yeah.
So Grey Shields, they made them of every chapter, every legion, and were given out. And I think it was a pretty common thing. It seemed kind of 50-50 split on whether a chapter was willing to accept them into their ranks.
Man, I don't know about that. I think they all open on willing arms. Even Dark Angels are like, we like to keep secrets, but come share our secrets. Everyone except Space Wolves, man, and even them, they take them.
Yeah.
Like, they all take them.
I think that I think that the point is that everyone is going to take them, but they got to write a little bit of like, oh, will
tension.
They, won't they? Is this the secret to success, or is this our doom?
Can you write a 5-piece romance novel? Primaris is being inducted into chapters.
So after assessing his own chapter's low levels and hearing the testimony from Jarg Iron Oath, Chapter Master Grimnar agreed to welcome the new recruits into the Space Wolves.
Yeah. Apparently they got pretty roughed up after the 13th Black Crusade, committing all your forces to it. So I think it's kind of like a necessity for them to accept it. But
Look,
I agree.
At this point, I'm not going to be bitching about Primaris Marines. I can't do it anymore. It's all bad lore. We all know it. It's just, we'll move past
How
that.
many times do we have to kick this same dead horse?
Exactly.
The same dead dog.
Don't ever kick a dog. That's just wrong.
What if it's a space wolf dog?
Doesn't matter, Eric. They're still beautiful creatures.
They're special boys. They're good boys.
Yeah. So that's kind of their history. They do accept, in the end, they accept their Primaris brothers.
Yep.
There's inevitably some tension between them, but we actually will talk a little bit more about that when we mention specifically the gene seed.
Yeah, and how that kind of interacts.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But let's move on away from their history and let's talk about Space Wolves themselves.
Let's talk about their homeworld of Fenris. Fenris is a harsh planet, so cold for most of its year that the oceans freeze over, and then so hot for a small portion that the outer crust of the planet cracks and spews lava.
Okay. I didn't know that part.
Not a very
pretty
temperate
wild.
world.
This is the best.
You get the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Summertimes are great.
It's balmy, it's hot, you get a nice lava tan.
And the winters are nice and cool.
Yeah, it means growing the beard is totally worth it.
Yeah, 1,000,000 years ago when I first dipped my toe into 40K, when you guys convinced me, it was right to Space Wolves.
I remember that.
Right to learning about Fenris and thinking it was such a cool planet.
The unreliability of the geography has forced its inhabitants to a nomadic life, constantly moving to what may be solid ground for their tribes.
Yeah, when it talks about like the winter, all the oceans freeze over, except for like very small pockets or something.
Yeah.
And there's like islands out there, and there's no need to like sail or anything because you can just walk on the frozen ocean. So all these tribes are like contending for like resources, food. You got to follow the food resources and stuff. But then when summertime comes, all these ocean stuff starts to melt. So you better have some ships ready. And even then, at that point, like the islands that you're
It
on,
might be lava.
there's a good there's like a good chance that island is not going to be an island for very long. So you gotta hoof it out of there, like pretty fast. It's like a constant state of like flux and danger.
Do you think like the ocean, so they're frozen over and they have boats? Do you think they could sail their boats on like the ice? Like there's like
Just a
Yeah,
sled.
it's called the boat sled.
yeah, like just like I wonder if.
Yeah, that would make sense.
I love the imagery of that, of like still
Giant
using
Viking
like a
long
Viking
ships.
longboat,
Yeah.
but in the sails and still kind of like
putting
they're like
skis
oars
on
up.
them.
You know?
But yeah,
skis
the
come out.
oars, the oars are just these massive spikes that they like dig into the ice and like push the boat forward. Yeah, like ski poles. Yeah, for the boat.
That's why they're so ripped.
I'm liking it.
Fenris orbits its sun every 3 to 4 Terran years on an elliptical orbit, which contributes to the severity of its weather patterns.
Yeah. So the part of the ellipsis, like a point of it, is right near the sun. So it's traveling right near the sun. That's the hot months. And then on the rest of its journey, it's so far
Frozen.
away from the sun that everything just freezes.
The only continent that is stable enough to not change during these upheavals is called Asheim and has been claimed by the Space Wolf chapter. It is that they who built the Fang, a great fortress, monastery where they house their chapter. I was about to ask about that. Like, well, if everything's unstable, where's the Fang? The Fang inhabits the tallest mountain peak on the planet and is so tall that it rises beyond the atmosphere, which allows it to be used as a docking point for ships entering and leaving the planet.
That's so crazy.
So Fenris just has like a big spike sticking out of it.
Yeah.
It totally makes sense why it's called the Fang too. Just like this point coming off of this planet that you can see from orbit. Like it breaks the circular horizon even of the planet.
It works so well with them being wolves.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because of the harsh reality of life on Fenris, the natives are in a constant struggle to survive. One of their more brutal traditions is to gift a newly born child an axe, and if they cannot immediately grasp its haft, they are thrown into the frozen seas or risk their weaknesses destroying the tribe.
Okay.
Also have to use the axe to cleave the other babies who are not strong enough to wield the axe.
Jeez.
Well, Christian and I both famously gave
Our children axes.
Yeah.
I'm happy to
And
report that
thankfully-
3 of 4 of my children have actually been able to wield the axe.
Mine's doing fine with just one limb.
Oh man.
The seas are inhabited by massive monsters, and the lands upon Asheim are no more safe. Snow trolls, shape-shifting doppelgangers, and massive worms burrow into the landscape. The most deadly is the Fernesian wolf, whose cunning is as sharp as its massive teeth. Though they are deadly enough on their own, they travel and hunt in packs, exponentially increasing their danger.
There's some crazy monsters on this place. They also talk about like the krakens in the sea
Yeah.
that they're known to fight.
It's
and-
very mythological
Yeah.
creatures, massive sea monsters, like super dangerous.
Yeah, between the environment and the monsters, I can see why they kill their weak babies. They could destroy the tribe.
Yeah.
Like everyone,
It's a little harsh.
Everyone has to pull their.
It's just a baby.
Everyone has to pull their weight, Eric.
Christian,
Even the
no,
baby.
I totally get it. Me too. Me too, man.
I can see why they're so angry.
Why they
This is where we
fight so
live.
many other people. Yeah.
This place sucks. Man, no wonder I'm angry all the time.
Have you talked to your therapist? Yeah. They said go fight more things.
Have you tried killing civilians?
That seems to calm me down.
Their planet's cool too. They'll have like a bunch of tribes on it, and they all are always waging war on each other. So
course.
even if
Why
the
wouldn't they?
wildlife or the element doesn't kill
They
you,
fight for access to these resources into land, you
Yeah.
know, like stable islands
Yeah.
and stable land.
yeah, and like fighting is fine. Like the Space Wolves even encourage it.
Yeah.
You know, like they might even drop off weapons packages for people. You know?
Here, use these.
See, you know, but don't fight the monsters with these. Fight each other.
Yeah,
with,
yeah.
You know, but
That's
yeah, like,
too easy if you fight the monsters with those weapons.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. But yeah, like it's a crazy planet for sure. We're gonna hop over to the gene seed of the Space Wolves. The other thing that makes them. The original gene seed of the Space Wolves had major mutations and deviancies. Without fail, it passed these traits along to the members for thousands of years. While it did have a probable 100% rate of mutation, it was stable for the most part. And its mutations were predictable, and it did not cause the gene seed to fail. Like one of the mutations is they grow fangs in their older age.
Yeah. So it's like you're almost like 100% guaranteed to get that mutation, but that mutation doesn't cause you
Yeah.
to explode in chaos spawn.
No,
you
just
know?
30 more minutes or 30 more seconds of brushing your teeth.
That's
Yeah,
right.
it's
Well,
not a
you got to
big
get
deal.
those pearly whites.
Yeah,
Come on.
Exactly. So, in fact, the only noted time when the gene seeds changed was a little-known incident sometime after the Horus Heresy that caused it to only work on the inhabitants of Fenris. This ensured that no other brothers would be raised that were not Phoenician-born. After the initial creation of the Legion, the gene seed became increasingly unstable, which is now seen in the Canis Helix gene and the Curse of the Wolfen.
Yeah, so obviously the Marines that were born as part of the 6th Legion, you know, as its inception, they would not have had the Canis Helix gene.
Yeah.
And I can only assume that once, like, Fenris became a part of, like, the history of the 6th Legion, and Russ, you know, got access to the gene vaults and, like, all the genetic technical scientists of Terra, like, he must have asked for the Canis Helix to, like, be whipped up for him specifically, or, like, you don't just find a batch of genetic code in a cave on Fenris and you're like, yes, this will go well with my gene seed Astartes, you know? It has to be Imperium made.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they're ever even really clear. A lot of it's just so confusing, and different authors mean different things with it. And then you got authors writing crazy shit like there's no wolves on Fenris. Then you're really in the weeds.
That is such a meme!
But, you know... It's...
Yeah, I wish there's a lot in the gene seed that I think doesn't really make sense. You'll see, like, the cup come up at different times, and there's a lot of names for the trials and the tribulations that they have to go through. So just, you can see the imprint of 8 different authors on this, unfortunately, which is not the Space Wolves' fault, but it is Games Workshop's fault, and I'm blaming you.
Yeah,
so.
it just seems like there's just too much weird gene seed manipulation and, like, throwing in Canis Helix, and now only Phoenicians can do it, but Phoenician population are wolves, apparently, like...
Shh! There's no wolves on Fenris.
Yeah, it's crazy. Let's carry on. The mutations that had passed down are very well documented and easily seen in the Battle Brother of the 6th Legion. These special mutations are given through the Canis Helix, which is a unique component of the Space Wolf's gene seed. These mutations include enhanced animalistic abilities such as hyperacute senses of hearing and smell, elongated canines, shaggy hair that becomes gray and then white as the Marine ages, pale yellow eyes, not all the time, sometimes I get that, animalistic ferocity unmatched in battle.
Unmatched.
Yep. Okay. But most importantly, and dangerous mutation of the Space Wolf is the Curse of the Wolfen.
Yes. Yeah.
Sorry.
No.
Are you going to jump in the Wolfen?
Yeah.
Before that, the hyperacute senses of hearing and smell, I think it's worth noting that, like, you're talking about Space Marines who already have enhanced senses. So, like, on what level?
Yeah.
Like, how much more enhanced can you get?
Well, we only assume that you can only always get better. You know, like, we have 3 cones in our eyes, but some people have 4 cones. And maybe some eyes, like, maybe their eyes actually gain, like, optics. Telescopic stuff, yeah. Maybe they can see in other dimensions. Maybe they can see inside the warp, and that causes all their powers to be so not warp.
I don't think any of that's true.
Yeah. They sound like dogs.
I'm just going to come out and say it.
You got really good hearing and smell. You got some elongated canines. You got some shaggy hair. You got some pale yellow dog eyes. Just pale yellow eyes. And then, the most importantly, you can actually just turn into a wolf. So, dogs, hear me out, space dogs. Anyways,
The Curse of the Wolfen and the Test of Mordecai. Do you talk about the Test of Mordecai, or who Mordecai is at all?
No, actually, I don't.
Mordecai is just like one of the tribesmen on Fenris, like their god, of I think it's like death even. There's 2. There's the twin wolves, there's Mordecai, and there's one other one. But anyways.
Wait. Does that mean the Ecclesiarchy was right and they were worshipping pagan gods?
Oh, yeah.
The
Yeah, no.
Imperial was right about
How
everything.
many times do we have to clarify that they are not good?
Yeah, I don't think the Space Wolves are good guys.
No.
Necessarily. Well, no, maybe they're good guys, but they're not Imperium aligned
That's
guys.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't.
That's a good distinction.
There are
they
no
don't-
good guys in 40k,
Fenris.
and there are no wolves on Fenris. Two things to remember. All right, go on.
The Canis Helix is the first and most important gene seed given to the aspirants of the Space Wolves. Once drunk from the cup of the Wolfen during the test of Mordecai, the aspirant undergoes a terrifying transformation. Their body reshapes itself into a bestial state. Bones are rearranged, hair grows from their entire body, and the hunger for raw meat and thirst for blood.
So once again, they are dogs.
Wolf. Okay. The transformed aspirant is then adorned in the harsh Phoenician wilderness. They must control the raging beast within and without while surviving the terrible conditions of the planet. If they succeed in overcoming, they are welcomed back into the Fang, and their journey to become an Astartes continues. If they fail to conquer their bestial rage, they transform fully into the Wolfen, left in the wilds of the Fenris as a beast. Yeah, crazy. An odd note about the Space Wolf gene seed, or the remainder of the organs, will not work in the body that has not undergone the test of Mordecai.
So yeah, at some point in like their genetic history, their gene seed just stopped working unless the body had already undergone the test of Mordecai and had consumed from the cup of the Wolfen.
Yeah.
Which I'm okay with that.
Sure.
It's an interesting enough thing. Yeah, I don't understand like the history of how that would happen.
Yeah.
But I'm not a genetic doctor.
No. I'm not
Nor
even,
am I a dog doctor.
yeah,
So-
no,
And you
exactly.
seem like you need to be both of those to understand this.
even my experience with cups is just drinking out of it. Like,
You're
I
not
don't know
a cup
much
When was
job.
the last time
beyond
you
that.
turned into a dog after drinking out of a cup?
yeah, it's crazy. So they like full on turn into werewolves and then run around the wilds of Fenris just ripping shit apart until they're like, oh yeah, I'm done, I guess. Or I'm not.
I love this.
Yeah.
No, this is me.
I always thought Fenris was a piece of crap, but I like it now. Look at how strong I am. Watch me scale this mountain. I'm a wolf.
Watch, Logan, watch.
It's funny that the Space Wolves are actively making their already crappy planet worse. Let's just introduce
Well,
some
come on.
werewolves into the mix.
It's population control of the wolves of Fenris, you know? They need enough danger to properly test the inhabitants.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's cool. Let's talk about the Cup of Wolfen. The legend goes that the cup was originally owned by Russ and had been passed down to the original Space Wolves to partake from. The first Marine to drink, Wolfen, was secretly jealous of Russ. That was his name.
His name was Wolfen, yes.
And keep in mind, this was probably a Terran-born Marine.
Yeah. Most likely. Yeah. Like 99%, this guy is from one of the tribes on Terra.
Because he wouldn't have been from Fenris at this time. Wolfen. Okay, so Wolfen was secretly jealous of Russ and became a hideous monster, a hybrid of man and wolf. He leaped to attack Russ, but was caught in one strong, muscly, beautiful hand.
so happy you read that.
Was choked to death. I love it when you read the notes and you're caught off guard. Russ was then declared that all who are unworthy would become a wolfen when they drank, and those that survived were worthy of becoming his kin.
Wow,
Interesting.
You really like that imagery of his hand, hey? Mike? I'm surprised at how you
One
describe
strong,
it.
muscly, beautiful hand. Perfect fingernails, immaculately groomed.
Yeah, I think it's a fun legend, you know? I
Yeah.
like just that story being passed down as each aspirant takes the drinks, someone intones behind them, "This was the cup of Russ, who gave it to his chosen kin, and Wolfen, lo, did he wish to betray Russ, and as he drank became a wolf." And that's when the aspirant's body starts
Yeah.
changing and reforming, and
And only if you're true with the wolf will you.
yeah, and then right when they finish, doors slam open, the cold of Fenris rushes in, and the Wolfen looks at it, and he looks back, and there's no one else in the chamber. They've all abandoned him,
And he howls.
Fenris! Oh my god! Yeah. Anyways, there's some cool imagery there.
It is a very cool story. That cup, that 10,000-year-old cup, has little lip marks in it. It's so worn.
Indentations.
Yeah, it's just-
Just grooves
Couple
of where the
teeth.
same lip
Yeah.
has gone on it.
we're gonna have to stop asking the aspirants to stop
Chew.
biting the cup.
take a little sip.
Just take a sip. Unfortunately, the curse of the Wolfen never fully leaves the Astartes, and they will always struggle in times of great stress to control their bestial side, for the Wolfen may overtake them in these moments. It is the Rune Priest's duty to watch over his battle brothers and ensure their safety. Rune Priests are like, are they the chaplains?
Sorry, I might have wrote this wrong.
Yeah,
it
like-
should have been Wolf Priests.
It should have been Wolf Priests, I think.
It's okay. There's a lot of wolves, and it's easy to mix them up.
Yeah, Wolf Priests are like chaplains.
Yes, that's
essentially.
their equivalent. Yeah, they're responsible for the well-being and the health of the
Chapter.
brothers. Yeah,
The pack. You can call it the pack. It's fine.
they're the mama wolves of the pack.
It's fine. There was a time in M32 when a wolf high priest by the name of Thar Ariak Heraldry.
Hraldir, come on.
Heraldry.
We know that name.
Oh, Haldir.
That's right.
Haldir.
Legolas!
Sorry. Different thing. If there's not at least one Lord of the Rings reference in an
It's not even a Lorehammer.
It's not even a Lorehammer.
Yeah,
episode,
yeah.
So, he attempted to temper the curse of the Wolfen and fix the instability within the Space Wolf's gene seed. However, the project was cut short when Magnus assaulted the lab, destroying all the progress and killing Haldir. When Bjorn found out,
Yeah,
Magnus!
another Magnus. You know, they're always popping up at the worst time. These stupid Thousand Sons.
yeah, one thing we never talked about is like Magnus and the Thousand Sons. They lay siege to the Fang a couple times. I think they do it twice.
Yeah.
But
they've got a vendetta.
Yeah.
If someone comes and raises your planet,
yeah,
you know, you're gonna want a little vengeance every once in a while.
yeah.
You're gonna stew for a little bit.
When Bjorn found out about the project, he was enraged, claiming those attempted to manipulate the gene seed were betraying their Primarch, Call. Let's talk about Call after this. And then he would have destroyed it himself if he had known.
He also said, "I would have killed you myself."
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was very, very not happy.
Yeah,
about
almost like
that.
you don't mess with gene seed.
Yeah,
Like-
almost like you're just one stupid wolf high priest and you actually don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, or stupid tech
Tech
mechanica, tech priest, whatever.
Whoa, Bellis, don't be talking about my boy.
I'm talking about your boy.
Belisarius. No, he knows everything.
Okay.
Okay.
During the Ultima Founding and the introduction of Primaris Marines, many thought that the curse of the Wolfen was finally behind them, that the gene seed no longer held any danger. However, after much studying by the Rune Priests, this had been proven false, and the curse has followed the genetic lineage after all.
Yeah, that's a weird one. I think there's a lot of still unknowns with Primaris. Like as far as I'm aware, Primaris don't drink from the Canis Helix, the cup of the Wolfen. But then how could they still inherit that genetic like code to turn them into a wolf? And how do any of the other gene seeds work in a body that hasn't taken the Canis Helix?
Yeah, maybe it was just like the first batch that were made by Call. They didn't need that Canis Helix, but then everyone else does. So you still might have some Primaris that never actually drank from this
But
thing.
those would be a dying breed.
Those would be a dying
Yeah,
breed.
at
But then
some
all the
point
new
they would all die.
population. That's how I'm
Yeah.
kind of choosing to look at it.
It's possible. I really struggled to find any mention of the Primaris actually drinking from the cup.
Yeah.
But I think that just as they write, you know, I'm sure
Yeah.
in the next edition of the Space Wolves Codex, it will just be assumed that all Space Marines drink from the cup.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just
I'd
going to
say
go
so.
right back to normal.
Is it possible that
Absolutely.
yes, it's 40K. I'll leave it there. That is my argument. No, that they are drinking from the cup. The whole thing about drinking from the cup is just like mythologized, where like this was all going to happen anyways. Drinking the cup is just like a thing they do at a certain time, but
It's just a ritual.
Yeah, exactly. It's ritualized.
So it actually doesn't contain the
It
Canis
doesn't do
Helix.
anything, but they think it does something. So it, you know, because it's timed at the same time. Like your body was going to respond like that anyways. It's almost like a placebo.
So the thing is, before they drink from the cup, they actually haven't undergone any gene therapy. So because the Canis Helix needs to be the very first gene seed that you take, because if you don't take that first, none of the other gene seeds will work in your body. So they have to take it first. So I guess it's possible that it's not necessarily in the cup, but that means they would be getting this Canis Helix through some other means. You know, if the cup is only ritual only, you know,
Yeah.
then maybe they're giving
That
them
seems like a reach. Like, yeah,
they're
we
giving
have this
them a
cup
loaf
where-
of bread,
Yeah.
right before they drink from the cup.
And that's the
And
thing.
That's the
Oh
thing.
my
Really.
god, there's some mold on the planet and all their bet. It's like, what's that one mold that drove everyone mad? It's like when wheat.
I don't know, but I think I remember what you're talking about.
Yeah, like that's like the cause of like witch trials and stuff because people are eating like moldy bread and shit. I don't know. Anyways, so yeah, clearly the cup has no use and it's the moldy bread.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's in the cup. I like
Yeah.
to think it's in the cup.
Yeah.
I think it's more than just ritual. I prefer to think of it that way for sure. Like I prefer.
I'm
to
just
think
throwing
of it.
stuff at
They
the wall.
drink and then they turn into werewolves. Something
Yeah.
is in that cup.
Saying that otherwise would be pretty.
Oh shit, we gotta go now! John's about to turn! And then Russ passes all his websites. The guy's intoning the whole legend.
Chug, 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 chug.
My bones are shifting. Give me the cup.
Hold on. Hear me out, though. But, like, what if they time it, like, with the moon is on a certain day of the month when the moon is high?
You're the worst. You're the worst.
I'm doing GW's work
There's
for
no
them.
there's no moon involved. If there's moon involved,
There are no moons on Fenris.
there are only people.
All right, moving on. I'm done. I can't defend them anymore.
Yeah. Anything else about their gene seed we want to mention?
Yeah, I don't know. They have all of it intact still, which is kind of cool. Like, I think they can spit acid.
As far as I'm aware, yes.
Yeah, they have all their stuff, which is kind of neat.
It is a pretty neat. I don't think any other chapter has all of them.
No, like some do. Ultramarines.
They're
do.
full. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. They can still have individuals that fail, though, right? Like,
Yeah, any one Marine can have something go
right.
wrong.
But it's not. Yeah, it's not like it's not a. Some chapters it's just a guarantee that this organ will never work in
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Do you ever talk about how Space Marines or Space Wolves don't have successor chapters?
Yes.
Okay.
I
Well,
have
then we
a
won't talk
section
about-
on successors.
Okay, then we won't mention it here.
Yeah.
Too
Okay.
late.
Well, let's take a quick break.
Little ad break.
Yeah, and we will be right back. And welcome back. We just
What a great ad that was. Don't you
10 out of
really
10.
want item?
blank. Aren't you really happy to be a part of insert here? Yeah, so we just finished up talking about Gene Seed. We've talked about Fenris, the homeworld itself. Let's dive into just some more minutia of the Space Wolf chapter.
Recruitment.
So yeah, recruitment. To fill their ranks, wolf priests will descend from the Fang and scour the lands of Asaheim. They are treated amongst the tribes with awe and respect, often being treated to great feasts and bouts of competition. It's a pretty big deal when like the angels of death descend from their massive fang and you know, join you at your fire.
Yeah, that's such a cool image. Yeah.
Just these 8-foot tall superhumans sitting down in the fire next to little old grandma, you know, drinking from her cup.
Drink all your ale. And
That's right. All of it. Not even get a little bit drunk. The Wolf Priest challenged many of the natives to contests of drinking, eating, and wrestling.
That's unfair.
Though the Astartes always wins, his true prize is taking those worthy to the Fang to join the ranks of hopeful aspirants. You know, it's obvious he's going to win. In fact, if he lost, that would be such a big upset. They'd probably have to kill everyone around.
That never happened.
Yeah, exactly. No witnesses. Yeah. And the Wolf Priests also keep a watch over the battles and hunts of the tribesmen, and if a suitable candidate is witnessed performing honorably, they may be spirited away to the Fang. There's even examples of, you know, some tribesman is on alone on some journey and he fights this monstrous beast and kills him.
Yeah.
But in that battle, he was also mortally wounded. So he's lying there, dying, spilling his lifeblood into his red blood into the white snows of Fenris, bleaching the rock. Anyways, but the wolf priests, like, they're like constantly looking and scouring, and so they're watching this fight, and they go rescue him.
Yeah.
And they take him, and they're like, nah, like, you've earned your place among our ranks. So not the only time is during their contests, but they're constantly looking. So you got to always make sure you're acting honorably and, you know, doing your duty, pulling your weight.
Yeah.
throwing your babies away if they're not good.
Yeah.
In true Fenris honor, you know.
Gotta feed the wolves somehow.
Right. But their recruitment it's pretty small and simple because they can only recruit from Fenris. There's no other planet that can take their gene seed.
And everyone on Fenris is a badass. Too.
That's true.
So,
Yeah.
like,
you can't live on Fenris and not be one.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, it's pretty simple.
Pretty simple.
Let's talk about the Legion breakdown. So in the beginning of the Great Crusade, the 6 Legion numbers were a paltry 3,500 battle brothers. And this changed drastically once Leman Russ was found on Fenris. And at their height, they numbered 130,000 Astartes. By the end of the heresy, their numbers had dwindled to just under 100,000 Marines. And these were the 13 great companies that made up the Space Wolf Legion at the time of the burning of Prospero. So you've got the first great company on, and they're known as the Breakers of Rings. So they consisted of at least 3,000 Terminators, and they were commanded by the Jarl Gunnar Gunhilt.
Son of Gunnar Gunhilt. Son of Gunnar Gunhiltson.
3,000 Terminators.
Then you've got the second great company, Twa, known as the Thread Cutters, and they consisted of at least 800 veterans and 60 dreadnoughts. And they were commanded by Jarl Holmi Longdagger.
I'm glad I didn't have to read it this
Holmi Longdagger.
It sounds like a mad gab. Hold me along, Gigger. Hold me along, Gigger. What am I trying to say?
Hold my long dagger. Third great company, Tra. Just gonna keep going. Known as the Eagles Keepers. They consisted of at least 9,800 Space Marines in assault squad and support armor roles, and they were commanded by Jarl Ogvai Helmstrot.
What did you just say about his scrotum?
Ogvai Helmstrot. The fourth great company, known as the Bloodworms Masters, consisted of at least 8,600 Space Marines in breacher squads with self-propelled artillery, and they were commanded by Jarl Lufin Close-Handed. The fifth great company, Fife, known as the Blood Ice Storm, consisted of at least 10,000 Space Marines in mixed roles with light support armor, commanded by Jarl Almlodhi Skarsen son.
That's my boy. I am Skarsen. This is my son, Skarsen son.
And his son, Skarsen son. The sixth grade company, Sex, commanded by Jarl Scunner. And then the seventh grade company, Sep, known as the White Flames Wielders, consisted of at least 5,200 Space Marines in destroyer squads and immolation units, and commanded by Jarl Havar Redblade. Eighth great company, Fortois, is known as the Slaughterfire Heralds.
Very, very creative names they have.
I love these, yeah.
The Blood Ice.
White's Flames Wielders, Slaughterfire Heralds. They had 9,500 Space Marines in reconnaissance roles, and they were commanded by Jarl Balder Vidunsen. The ninth great company, Tra, known, just in case you're working on your Space World numbers.
Tra.
Yeah.
The Tra.
It's actually a dance popularized on Fenris in their great halls.
So they were known as the Serpents of the Battle Moon. They consisted of at least 7,900 Space Marines in support, heavy weapons, and rapier units, and they were commanded by Jarl Stugard Jorkson.
There's a test at the end of this, so I want everyone to remember the names of all the leaders.
Yeah, you better be taking notes.
10th Great Company, Deck, is commanded by Hemtel. Maybe that was Jarl Hemtel? I don't know. Or he's just...
I think Jarl.
He's just Hemtel.
He actually eschewed the use of Jarl. He said, I am nothing but a servant to all.
I don't even have a last name.
I hope I don't die in the next battle.
No.
There was the 11th Great Company, Elva, known as the Sea Flames Bearers. Consisted of at least 9,200 Space Marines, primarily veterans drawn from Terra before the discovery of Leman Russ, and they were commanded by Jarl Valdar Helsdawn. Then we've got the 12th Great Company, Tolv, known as the Shield Nars.
Because dogs.
Gotta really chew on those shields. They consisted of at least 8,700 Space Marines in close assault roles, and they were commanded by Jarl Yargmeg. And then the...
Sorry, I really
go
like
ahead.
that imagery of the shield Nars being close combat. Because obviously they're all equipped with chainswords.
Yeah.
So it's just these chainswords gnawing and like biting because their teeth at all the
Sure.
shields of their enemies.
Right.
Okay, that's the only one that's like made super sense to me.
And they bring one of those shields home with them. They curl up by the fire and they just chew on it.
Well, they gotta make sure their
my
teeth are nice and
God.
conditioned. You know.
It actually comes from a real Viking thing, if you care.
I don't know.
You know
if
what?
I
I
do.
don't.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Go do your own reading.
Save it for your
Only 40K.
episode.
Okay.
All right, the 13th Great Company, the number 13 would be Dektra, of course.
Of course.
Known as the Corpse Renders. And they consisted of at least 600 Space Marines, primarily light assault infantry, and they were commanded by Jarl Yorin Bloodhowl.
And the 13th Great Company, obviously, being where most of the Wolfen are stuck.
Yeah.
And that's the one that disappeared after the Burning of Prospero and came back during the hunt for the Wolfen.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little light on numbers, only 600 Space Marines.
Yeah, I don't think you survive very long as a Wolfen, you know? Like, you just have too big a desire for, like, a hunger and thirst for, like, bloodshed and battle. I don't know. It kind of... The Wolfen...
Like you always just run into the next fight until
Exactly,
you die.
yeah. The
Like-
Wolfen, I draw a lot of similarities between them and what's the Black Company for the Blood Angels?
Yeah.
Yeah, the ones where they're
Death
like...
Company.
The Death Company, yeah, that's right. Yeah, the ones that they're just going to die, you know?
And so they were Wolfen still at this time. Like, it wasn't during the 10,000 years where they disappeared that they became the Wolfen? Were they already the Wolfen? even
As far as I'm
back then?
aware, like, the 13th Company was always where they stuck the wolf in.
That when they were looking for them, they kind of
Because,
knew that was the case.
they found Leman Russ. He's the second one they found in the Great Crusade in, like, very fast. And then the Great Crusade continues for 200 years. But as soon as they found him, production of the Space Marines would have switched to Fenris. And my guess is that the Canis Helix was introduced as soon as possible. And then as soon as the Canis Helix is introduced, you have Wolfen. So I think that Wolfen are definitely a part of the Legion, like, as soon as they find Leman Russ. Which would mean, in my opinion, that they're all going in the 13th Great Company.
Yeah.
So I think that they are. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was them, like, at the... Not quite at the height of their power, but pretty close. That's a lot of Marines.
There's a lot of guys.
Yeah. Whew. Christian, you want to take the next?
Yeah,
little tidbit?
so we're going to go into the Post-Heresy organization. So
So
we're going to start that
shall
list
I-
off from the top.
The first company.
What did you want to say?
Oh, nothing. Just making jokes.
All right.
No, who knows?
After the Horus Heresy and wrote Boat's Codex Astartes, the Space Wolves never tried to regrow their population back to their legion numbers, though they had no successors for millennia and ultimately refused to acknowledge Rabot's Codex decrees. They are still remarked as being one of the smaller chapters due to the instability of their gene seed.
Yeah, so, like, what happened? Like, they had 10,000 or 100,000 guys at the end of the Horus Heresy. What happened to all those guys?
I don't
Did
know.
they just, like, literally just not recruit until they had 1,000
Yeah.
guys left?
It doesn't, like, So we were looking at this prior, and the population on Fenris, what did you find, Mark?
3 million?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
3.2, I think.
Okay,
3.4.
3.2 million. And I understand that they can't, like, there's no way they can keep up with the losses. If they're fighting, they have 100,000 guys, that means they can split themselves up into 10,000 different fronts, you know? And so if they can't reinforce all 10,000 different fronts at the same time. So I understand that there would be a decline, but it should be slow, in my opinion, because Space Marines don't die all the time.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, there could be thousands of years that the wolves still... Well, maybe not thousands.
It could have been, though.
Yeah,
you know?
you have 10,000 years to play with.
Yeah. So they're at some point, they're at 100,000.
Yeah.
And I don't want them to ever go beyond that. But I get that it would be a slow decline. But for them to say that the population of Fenris now can only sustain less than 1,000 Marines, that seems so crazy when previously
Well,
they
you
were
know, Fenris has been sieged by Magnus, by the Inquisition, by the Ecclesiarch,
They die a lot.
by Magnus.
by some weather, by some wolves that aren't wolves.
By the
Exactly. They
Kraken.
keep putting more dangerous
So-
wolves out there.
And an interesting thing to note in our reading that Peter just read of all the great companies is that all the Terran-born Marines were put in one great company, and it was only 9,200 Marines. That means the other 90,000 Marines
Yeah.
came from Fenris.
It was better times during the
Oh,
Crusade.
please, you're
It
such
was
Population was
bullshit
booming.
answers.
You don't know. Until I see hard numbers for the Fenrisian population.
This is you with the wolf. Oh my god, you're so beautiful. Wolf. Let me touch your fangs, wolf. Let me look into your yellow eyes, wolf.
No. I don't even like Space Wolves.
He didn't even want to be here.
You got me out of bed. I put on my clothes and came over here to record this just for you.
But yeah, I think there is definitely something missing.
Yeah, like it just, there's a lot of guys and then there's not, and there's no reason for there
I
not
would
to be.
love to see like some genetic disease come like and wipe out 90% of the space wolf population, and then they were like, we just can't get our numbers back now.
Sure.
Like some apocalyptic level thing to happen where they just lose everyone, and then they're like, okay, you know what? We're not following the codex, but we don't need to put our numbers back to 100,000.
Yeah, just like, why would they not?
Yeah, they obviously have the capability of doing it.
And they don't care about the codex.
Yeah, absolutely. They never
Or
have
the
cared.
Inquisition, or the
Gilliman.
Ecclesiarch, or Gilliman.
or anyone.
Is it possible that they just got into so many fights in that
Yeah.
amount of time that it just decimated their population?
Thank you for the
fighting
question.
everyone?
Good question. The answer is straight no. The Great Crusade and the Horus Heresy is supposed to be the most vicious fighting that the galaxy has ever seen.
Yeah, but they missed chunks
in
of it.
10,000 years, they have not participated in anything that's supposed to be as terrible as the Horus Heresy. So no, I would say their numbers could not have lost that much more in the 10,000 years than they did during the Horus Heresy.
Normally, I love arguing numbers in 40K. I could do it for hours, but I think we should just move on.
All right, back to the Reformation that led to the modern Space Wolves. The Space Wolves kept the 12 great companies, although they have been renamed and repurposed. Each great company commands its own forges, armories, and fleets, and they can act as an entire armies in their own rights.
Yeah,
Very
I think
cool.
that's a really big difference between the old great companies and the new ones. The old ones seemed singular of purpose.
Yeah, specialized.
You know, like this company only does Terminators. This great company only has light assaults, you know? Whereas these newer great companies, they're much more autonomous from each other.
Yeah, and they have a little bit of everything.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
They're tactically flexible. And, yeah. Do you want me to go over each?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's start from the beginning. The Company of the Great Wolf, the first, they're known as the Champions of Fenris, and they use the badge of the Night Runner, which is a wolf howling at the moon, and the Great Wolf is Logan Grimnar, the chapter master of the entire legion.
So he
chapter.
commands like the first company, and he also commands the chapter.
Bran Redmaw's company, the Blood Maws, badge of the Bloodied Hunter, Wolf Lord Bran Redmaw, and their sigil is like a wolf with like a bloody snout.
Yeah, it's like a front profile with its snout. Looks like it's dripping blood.
I'm just gonna have you like echo all my descriptions in a more poetic way. Anger Krakerdoom's company, the Sea Wolves.
Kraken Doom.
Krakendoom. Badge of the Sea Wolf, Wolf Lord Inger Krakendoom.
It's a badge of a wolf. It looks like it's licking up some water. Some
Yeah,
waves.
it's like it almost looks like a wolf dragon rising out of the water.
Yeah.
Like a kraken, almost.
Almost.
Yeah.
Eric Morkai's company, the Sons of Morkai. Badge of the Morkai, Wolf Lord Eric Morkai. Eric, do you want to
It's
describe your
me.
badge?
Yeah, it's actually double-headed wolf silhouetted against a sun, and they're both staring off into the distance, waiting for their lover to come back to them, who left all those years ago and never came back and never
Great
even
War
wrote.
took the lover.
Stupid ecclesiarchy.
Gunnar Red Moon's company. Red Moons. Badge of the Wolf of the Red Moon. Wolf Lord Gunnar Red Moon. Why don't I'm just reading the same thing over and over?
It's their badge. It looks like a moon. It's like a silhouette moon, and then a wolf's skull in side profile on it.
All right.
Okay, let's see if you don't read the same thing. Just pick the
Harold
key detail.
Deathwolf's company. The Deathwolves. Badge of the Great Devourer. Wolf Lord Harold Deathwolf.
It's a wolf howling at it, but almost looks like he's eating a star. Actually,
Yeah.
a sun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bjorn Stormwolf's company, the Stormwolves. Badge of the Thunderwolf, Wolf Lord Bjorn Stormwolf. And that is a wolf in its full body.
full
And
body
side
wolf.
profile.
Silhouette, yeah.
This one, I think they have like a bunch of Thunderwolves in it and stuff. And
You think so, eh?
yeah, I think so. Is
The
my-
Stormwolf Thunderwolf company.
Yep. That's my
Egil
bet.
Iron Wolf's company, the Iron Wolves. Badge of the Iron Wolf, Wolf Lord Boric Gnarlfist.
It's cool. That one, it's like a silhouette of a side profile of the wolf's head, but it looks like he's got metal plates
But this
bolted
time-
on.
Yeah, it has, like,
a
bolts.
mechanical wolf
Yeah.
almost.
Yeah, it is cool.
He's an Iron Wolf.
I'll give you that. Crom Dragon Gaze's company, the Drake Slayers. Badge of the Sun Wolf, Wolf Lord Crom Dragon Gaze.
Cool. Wolf in front of a sun, and that's all I got because you guys are making fun of me.
Ragnar Blackmane's company, the Blackmanes. Badge of the Blackmane, Wolf Lord Ragnar Blackmane.
There's
And
a
what is
theme.
this-
There's a theme in that one. The badge is a black-maned wolf.
Thank you, Eric.
Of course.
And we're almost there. Sven Bloodhowl's company, the Fire Howlers. Badge of the Fire Breather, Wolf Lord Sven Bloodhowl.
Cool.
And it is a wolf breathing fire. And Kjarl Grimblood's company, the Grimbloods. Badge of the Fire Wolf, Wolf Lord Kjarl Grimblood. And it is a wolf that is on fire. Obviously, if people didn't pick up on it, it seems that each company takes on like their commander's name. So like obviously that would change over time if a new company.
If a new wolf lord arises to take up one of the great companies, that great company then assumes kind of that identity.
Yeah, their
behind the
title
wolf lord.
and their sigil even too
Yeah.
would change theoretically. So that's cool.
I actually really like that part of it. I mean, I also enjoy, like a black or an Imperial Fist new captain being raised to the third, and he has a lot of history in the third to keep him going or whatever. But I also like this idea that you can create a company and it's your own thing.
It's a very individualized to you and tells your saga and like it's your
Exactly.
stories that follow you into.
Yeah, everything that you do under your banner, you earned.
Yeah.
Like there are others.
Even
that
though if
came
it's all your battle brothers that did it for you, yes, totally.
No, you commanded them.
Yeah, and their company takes on like the mannerisms
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
their wolf lord,
Yeah.
and they're so greatly influenced by his presence and how he conducts himself.
Absolutely, yeah.
And they take that on to themselves.
I really like that. It gives, I think it gives a lot of unique capabilities within this. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, if it wasn't obvious, they obviously do not follow the Codex Astartes.
Nani?
The Space Wolves approved method for advancing their battle brothers. They also don't reinforce their ranks when they take casualties. Instead, their progression can be broken into 4 categories, with each rank decreasing the squad size.
Yeah, it's very cool. Like, yeah, you get inducted with like your pack brothers. You're the same recruits, and then you fight beside each other. Sven has been killed 10 years ago, but your rest of your brothers are still there. Another 10 years
Yeah.
go by. Now Fjorgen's dead.
And they'll never replace Fjorgen, or Sven.
No, they
Yeah,
won't. They won't ever.
Their numbers will
probably
just dwindle.
maybe even took like a piece of his armor to carry with
Yeah,
you. Because
yeah,
he's
yeah.
your pack brother.
Yeah,
you know?
man. And you won't ever have another pack brother like him.
No, it's Sven.
He groomed you.
In
When
what,
it was
in what way?
appropriate, out of your beard.
What kind of grooming are we talking here?
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's get into how they work, where they start off. So that you start off with close support, and your pack is usually 15 or 5 to 15 Marines.
5 would be like the lowest, but
Yeah.
I would say normally it's around 15.
Depending on the tribe that they recruit from, you might only get 5.
Yeah, you might have had a bad run. But
Yeah.
Space Wolf neophytes are called Blood Claws, and they have only just passed the test of Mordecai. They are given a chainsword and a bolt pistol and expected to rush headlong to meet their enemy. The goal is to have them learn every lesson they need to survive as fast as possible. Those that don't survive, or those that do survive, continue to be given the Space Wolf gene seed. So this is before they even have gene seed.
Potentially. Like, it's possible that all these guys have done is pass the test of Mordecai.
Yeah, and then here's a chainsword and a bolt pistol.
Go rush this Tyranid Hierophant or whatever, you know.
It's equivalent to like a scout being put into power armor, though. So.
No, I don't even think they have.
Because some
get
scouts are
power
like
armor.
half. Blood claws are totally at power armor. Yeah.
They don't have to. So the
yeah,
ones,
I agree. They don't have to,
so
but
the
they
ones-
typically seen in
the
power
ones
armor.
we see as like regular squads, those blood claws, I believe, even have the black carapace.
Well, I think you have to by the point.
Yeah, so they say the next line is they will only receive full power armor once they've been given a complete set of gene seed and may remain a blood claw for a while. Yeah.
So I think the scout version of the blood claw is not seen on tabletop.
Sure.
Because
but they exist in the lore.
They do exist in the lore because they wouldn't be wearing full power armor. Honestly, it sounds to me like you're given a bolt pistol and a chainsword,
and that's
maybe
it.
some flak armor if you're lucky, if it's lying around.
Yeah.
Bolt a layer of plasteel to yourself, I guess.
want to
I don't
see
know.
some
Fight
barbarian
one time
models.
first, and it's just like another one of their tests before you
Exactly.
even get it. Like,
Yeah.
lots of times we see them fighting other recruits and killing other recruits. Now they're just fighting other people.
And an interesting thing to note is that this doesn't cost the chapter anything.
Cost them a bolt pistol and a chainsword.
Exactly. But
Which is a dime a dozen in the Imperial.
that's right, yeah. Because they'll just go collect those after the battle. But yeah,
Scrape some of the blood and bone off of it.
here is your
chainsaw.
chainsaw. Yeah. It looks used. It's fine. But all they've done is given this person the Canis Helix potentially. So there's no like crazy gene therapy. There's no indoctrination, hypno stuff. It's just like, here's the Canis Helix. You survived that test. Now go survive war.
Yeah.
And you think you know war from the tribe. Let me tell you, you don't know shit.
Yeah. Go fight one war, then come back to us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then we'll give you another gene seed. And
Yeah.
maybe we'll send you out again then.
Yeah.
And you come back and we'll give you another gene seed, you know?
Yeah, I want to see people convert some like barbarian models, like chaos barbarians with chainswords and bolt pistols.
Yeah.
And field. Those
Yeah, and then you
guys.
put like little like blue steel armor pieces on them that
Yeah.
they're salvaging or scavenging
Yeah.
even. So.
and some wolf pelts, of course.
That's right. Well, naturally. To keep them warm
Yes.
in the cold void of space.
They don't even get ships.
No. They just get catapulted off the Fenris
Into the
peak
stars.
into space.
Go find the enemies.
So blood claws, they have a number of different roles. They could be sky claws, so they're given jetpacks. They could be swift claws. They could be mounted on bikes. Assault intercessors, inceptors, reavers, and cursors. All those are just different types of units. Kind of your basic level
Blood
stuff.
claw.
Yeah, basic
Yeah.
level blood claw.
The interesting thing to note is that in the Codex, a new battle brother should always start as a Devastator.
No.
Assault Marine.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that's like the first one that they always start as. Whereas in this one, they aren't. So they're
In other chapters, in other chapters they start out as
Devastators.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Stupid Eric.
I misheard.
No, it's okay. So yeah, it's very different in here.
Yeah.
It feels a lot more like the Black Templar. Like we do our own training. You know, it's not up to you to determine how we decide to like progress our battle brothers.
Yeah.
So.
So after some times, they proved themselves. They fight in hundreds of wars, probably, I'm sure. Eventually, they get upgraded to the battle line, which is usually 5 to 10 Marines.
So they've lost Sven and Fjorgensen
They did,
and a
yes.
couple other Marines too along the way.
Yeah.
Erickson.
Oh, my beautiful boy.
His beard was just coming in, too.
Oh no. He'll never be a long fan.
When a blood claw squad has learned all there is to learn, they become Grey Hunters. These are comparable to the tactical squads of other chapters, and they are often armed with bolt guns or bolt rifles. They're just your front line. They also will have like bolt pistols and chainswords. So usually equipped with like the full everything. The Grey Hunters are like, they can manage it all.
They
They
feel
got-
like they should be more like veterans.
Yeah.
Because the Blood Claws, you can be a Blood Claw for 2 centuries.
Yeah,
You know,
there's, yeah.
How long have you been participating more until you finally become a Grey Hunter? Like, you're definitely feels you're more like a veteran, but apparently not to the Space Wolves because you haven't earned like your your fangs and your hair hasn't changed yet, and your skin.
Those are the
And
most
it sounds
important
stupid,
things.
but it's important to the Space Wolves. Yeah.
Important. Other Grey Hunter roles include intercessors and infiltrators. It's kind of your base tactical role. Then eventually you get promoted to fire support, and that's usually around 5 Marines. Because we've lost more.
We've lost even more. Yeah.
No.
At this point, we lost Marcusson,
No!
Christensen, Petersensen. Ooh.
That's your grandchild, Peter.
When the Grey Hunter's fangs are so long and strong they can pierce even plasteel, it may be time for them to become long fangs. These Marines are trusted with some deadly and rare long-range weaponry of the Space Wolf chapter. With the introduction of Primaris Marines, the long fangs now have access to the heavier Mark X armor as well. Yeah, so this is almost like put upon them. Like, okay, we see that you're getting a little slower. Your fangs are definitely in now.
Yeah, they're also the only ones trusted with the long-range weaponry. Apparently, the Space Wolves, they view like plasma cannons and heavy bolters and their las cannons as like relics. Apparently, it's like really hard for them to replace and repair a lot of that more devastating
fuck,
firepower
man. They keep
stuff.
using them as cudgels. Like, stop bashing people with your plasma
They get a
guns,
little
man.
too they get a little too drunk.
Yeah.
So when you're looking for a promotion,
Yeah.
you're like, hey, my fangs are getting pretty long there.
The guy pulls out the board.
plasteel. It's like, all right, let's see.
Chomp it.
Bite through. Prove.
No, you didn't do it. Get back there.
Long fangs take the role of devastators of other chapters, though there are other roles that they can fulfill as well, such as hell blasters, aggressors, eliminators, suppressors, or eradicators.
You may notice that a lot of those other roles that we're listing are primarily Primaris.
Yeah.
And I do like that they have kind of found a way for all the new Primaris armors and weaponry to fit in their existing thing. It's better this way than them saying like Primaris don't even go along that route. They do their own thing.
Yeah, some of them I don't think fit. Like the aggressors shouldn't be long fangs in my mind. Aggressors are like these close combat double 50
It should be
guys.
much more closer to like the blood claws.
Yeah, but whatever. Like eliminators, suppressors, those all work very good in there for a long.
And the
long
Hellblasters
phase.
for
Hellblasters.
sure.
Eradicators, I don't remember what those ones
They have
are
like
the
the heavy meltas.
meltas.
Oh, okay. Yeah, see, those work fine,
Yeah.
but whatever. Scouts. Eventually, you could become a scout, and as Space Wolf squad gets smaller and the Marines get older, eventually there will only be one left.
Sad.
Yeah, this brother is called a lone wolf, and they will have no pack or kin left, only revenge. Lone wolves operate very independently, swearing impossible oaths of vengeance against an enemy of the Legion, most likely some enemy that killed his pact. Most do not survive the fulfillment of these oaths, as they tend to ignore everything else around them in their attempt to satisfy their dead brothers.
Yeah, one of the passages I was reading said that these lone wolves, they swear this oath. So there's like a whole enemy out there, and they're like, that Land Raider, I'm going to fuck up that Land Raider. But that Land Raider is on the other side of 200 Marines.
Yeah.
And they just walk through them.
Just ignoring them.
Because, they're just like, this is the Land Raider I want, it's mine. So I can understand why they don't last very long.
But the odd time, he does make it to the Land Raider, and he does
Absolutely.
destroy the Land Raider, and then he has to find the next bad guy to kill in the very same way.
No, it was actually that land.
Keeps walking.
Lone wolves aren't attached to any great companies. If there are, it's only temporary. Instead, they answer directly to the Great Wolf. They are very rare to see, but are respected and a sign of awe.
Yeah, it's pretty, like, I think a lot of it is associated with the age and respect they earn. Like, how many battles have they fought?
Yeah.
How many
They've survived
enemies have
this
they
long.
killed? Yeah.
Yeah, and-
What wisdom do they know,
Yeah.
So.
You mentioned that lone wolves and scouts. This is something that they different too. Like every other chapter, you're a scout first, but scouts for them are like these lone wolf veterans who are like they can go out into the wild and survive for a year.
This
no
is one of
problem.
my favorite things about Space Wolves
Yeah.
is their super veterans being these like loners in
Yeah.
like surviving in any environment. In like there's an entire planet just completely controlled and overrun by orcs, but there's a lone wolf on there.
Yeah.
He's gathering intel. He's planning stuff.
He's hunting every now
Exactly,
and again.
yeah.
Like, yeah.
Sniping leaders and
Absolutely, yeah. This is one of my I love these lone wolf aspects of the Space Wolves.
Sometimes though, these lone wolves will just have like Terminator armor and just go hunt that Land Raider. But
Well,
it could
they're
be
Oath
whatever
of
that-
Vengeance, you
yeah,
know?
yeah, exactly. There's some cool options though
Yeah.
for lone wolves, and I really like that scout lone wolf idea.
Yeah.
Veterans. The Wolf Guard is a title given to those veterans in any honor guard of the Wolf Lords. A Wolf Lord may pick any recruit they wish to join these ranks, though most often they are picked from Longfangs and those lone wolves that have miraculously fulfilled their oaths of vengeance.
Yeah. So if like a lone wolf ever comes back after he declares his oath, he succeeds and comes back, it's actually seen as like a miraculous thing.
Yeah.
And there's like feasts and everything for this guy. And then almost always the lone wolf is like pulled into a wolf guard, because at that point they're just proving themselves like you're way too good to just be wasted on another oath of vengeance.
Right, yeah.
that
You need a
might have.
purpose now.
Yeah.
You need a group. Everyone you know.
Yeah, we can
has
bring
died,
you you
so-
back into a pack now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and that's the only way to kind of get a new pack is to become good enough.
Prove. Show me you're good enough.
Cool.
All right, let's talk about some Space Wolf hierarchy.
Okay, so there's the alpha. I know that.
And then everyone else is beta.
Yeah,
except for the Omegas.
exactly.
What about the deltas?
You don't want to be a Delta.
I didn't even know you could.
We never talk about the Deltas.
Oh God.
Fuck the deltas. Anyways, so the first we have the Great Wolf, and this is the chapter master of the Space Wolves, and the Great Wolf is chosen from among the Wolf Lords and leads his own great company. The current Great Wolf is Logan Grimnar, who has held the position for the past 700 years. So long.
That's cool.
And the first chapter master of the 6th Legion was Enoch Rathfin. And I don't even know if he would have been given the title of Great Wolf, because that would have just been
Because Lehman
before
Russ would have
his-
been...
Yeah. But interestingly enough, he would have been the first Great Wolf. Then you have Wolf Lords. Each great company has a commander, equivalent to a captain in other chapters, chosen from that company's Wolf Guard. It is his duty to organize his great company, which adopts that lord's name and sigil, and often changes its battle tactics to reflect his personality and temperament, just like what we were mentioning before.
Yeah, it's cool that they kind of just like, okay, I really want more heavy weapons. Starts recruiting more long.
Absolutely, yeah.
Companies like
Yeah.
trading off this scout squad over there for some long.
I
fangs.
totally see these
Yeah.
like Wolf Lords as like hockey team GMs. And they're like, I'll give you
stats.
Yeah, they're looking at like kill stats and survival rates of their guys. They're going to the other Wolf Lords of the great companies, and they're like, all right, who do you got for this round's recruitment pick? And they're like, I got first round, you got second round, and they're trading their picks and stuff. That's definitely how I see it.
Yeah, very cool.
Okay, after Wolf Lords, we have battle leaders, and these are the Space Wolves equivalent to a lieutenant. And typically, 2 of these officers exist in every great company, serving directly underneath a Wolf Lord. Wolf Priests combine the roles of chaplain and apothecary within the chapter. They are selected from any part of the chapter, but usually from the Longfangs or the Wolf Guard due to the greater wisdom of these Marines. Instead of using Codex medical equipment, Wolf Priests use healing potions and balms, using knowledge passed down from one Wolf Priest to the next. They are also responsible for the selection of new aspirants to the chapter, observing the frequent skirmishes among the human inhabitants of Fenris, and selecting worthy young men to undergo the trials.
Cool. So they would tag along then with the Wolf Priests or the Iron Priests or whatever.
These are the Wolf
These are the
Priests.
Wolf
Oh,
Priests.
these-
These are the
oh,
ones
oh,
that do
oh,
come
oh,
down from the mountain.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. They are also like
So Wolf
healers.
Priests are apothecaries as well to some
Yeah.
degree then.
Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't say much about like the Narthesium and everything with them, but you
Yeah.
have to assume
someone's got to be collecting
that
GNC.
they have them. But they definitely they view themselves more as like shamanistic healers. And that's not the only time we're going to use the word shamanistic when we're talking about Fenris. So yeah. I don't know. It seems like a weird combination to me. I'd like to see I like the chaplain role personally. So I don't like seeing it bastardized with something else.
Well, is it odd that it comes from like the Longfangs? that you like start out this way and then at some point you're recruited into being like a wolf priest?
Well,
Is
and-
that
and
unusual?
I think a Longfang just has the wisdom. Their rage has been tempered.
They know the
They've-
lore and the sagas.
Yeah,
and-
they
it just
know
seems
just
like a
from
different
living for so
career
long.
path all of a
It is
sudden,
different,
you know,
I think.
like-
Yeah, and that's another way that they just don't care about the Codex Astartes.
Right, because would other chapters do that?
No, they like pick their people and they ship them off sometimes.
Right.
And sometimes they train them right there, but
Or they trade them to the other wolf lords. I don't really like this guy.
now we have Rune Priests, and these are the wolves equivalent to the librarians. It is their duty to keep the knowledge of the chapter's history, reciting the great sagas of old. In battle, they wield formidable psychic powers rooted in the shamanistic traditions of Fenris. And then last but not least, we have Iron Priests, and these are the wolves equivalent of Tech Marines. They are required to keep the equipment of their great company in working order and maintain the machine spirits of its vehicles and weaponry, including the dreadnoughts in the depths of the Fang, which they must rouse from their deep slumbers if they are needed in battle, with the proper ointments and unguents.
Cool. What's cool about the Space Wolves is it's all pretty, like, they don't have a lot of ranks. Like, even Battle Brother, it's like
It's really just the four ranks.
yeah, like there's not much to it. It's,
Yeah.
you know, you're either new or you've been here a while or you've been here a long time. Like,
Yeah.
pretty straightforward the way all of it works.
For sure. Yeah, I think that like the really only hierarchy things we mentioned in there is the Great Wolf and the Wolf Lord.
Yeah.
Because everything else fits under Lone Wolf, Longfang, Grey
Yeah.
Hunter, or Bloodclaw.
Yeah.
So like even like a Rune Priest or a Wolf Priest, they probably have a Wolf Priest that's a Longfang, still probably known as a Longfang.
Yeah. He still has the long teeth, the gray hair.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only one I'd say is Rune Priests are a little weird because you have to have that psychic potential.
They are a little odd, yes. And it's possible that a blood claw that's
get grabbed right away.
showing, psychic potential or having some little accidents would be pulled away from their squad. Did Sven die? Shh, shush, my child. You'll see Sven again one day.
Oh. Cool.
Yeah.
On to the successors. Successor chapters.
Prior to the Ultima Founding, there was only one official successor chapter of the Space Wolves called the Wolf Brothers. They were created during the Second Founding and given half of the Space Wolf armory, half of the fleet, and half of the Rune Priests.
That
Whoa,
seems so
so-
crazy to me.
Yeah, like, this is prior to the Ultima.
This is during the Second Founding.
Yeah. So they would have had like 50,000 guys.
Hey, maybe that's what happened to the
You know
other
what?
half.
That-
Yeah.
I called it.
Yeah.
You called
Just now I called it.
Okay. Oh my god.
I placed a bet down just now, and now I won. Thank you.
Okay, so this explains half of all the deaths
Yeah.
of the Space Wolves. Okay.
However, their gene seed quickly devolved and mutated into an unusable level, and further plans to create other successor chapters were discarded.
I don't understand that.
Why it degraded?
Yeah.
Maybe there's just some weird fucking magic on Fenris. I don't know. I don't have a good reason.
I assume that even in the Second Founding, they're still only recruiting from Fenris.
Yeah,
If they explained that this Wolf Brothers were founded on Fenris, they were given half of everything, and then they were told to go start their own journey, that would make it sound to me that Fenris is saying, goodbye, you no longer have access to this inhabitants, and then I completely understand why their gene seed wouldn't work anymore. Because at that point, it's already only working on Fenris.
It's not Phoenician. Yeah.
Yes, but that's just not what they're saying,
Did they not have a cup of wolf in themselves? Like, there's only one cup.
Yeah,
So,
it's
I
like,
don't
are
know.
the Space Wolves intentionally being like, haha, fuck you guys, goodbye?
They're all the worst ones in the chapter.
We all took a vote, and you're being a wolf brother,
We're getting
okay?
soft, and so we're getting rid of half of you guys.
It's a cult. We're founding another chapter. Yeah. So, yeah, it's an interesting thought, but
Yeah.
it's not quite there. It's not quite there for me.
Fine, I'll petition GW to write a book about
Thank
it.
you.
Eric.
I won't read it, but thank you.
Once the Ultima Founding arrived with the infusion of Space Wolf Grey Shields and the new gene seed, it was apparent that the other chapters bearing Russ's genetic heritage could safely be created. The documented successor chapters are the Ice Fangs, the Grey Shields, the Moon Eaters, and the Blood Wolves, though others probably do exist.
Cool. Ice Fangs is cool.
I really am happy with that. I'm happy that they finally have successor chapters.
Yeah.
That you can be a confirmed space wolf.
Yeah.
Like heritage, but you can do it your own way.
Yeah.
You could be a space. You say my genetic heritage is space wolf, but I fight like ultramarines, and that's totally fine now, because these ones, as far as I'm aware, don't need the Fenrisian
Blood.
Yeah. Because their gene seed is from before whatever that happened.
Yeah.
I want to see more Viking, less wolf now.
Yeah.
In the chapter.
I definitely this got my juices flowing a couple times.
Ideas there. Got to do it.
I have been in a little bit of a Viking mood recently.
It's a significant departure, just like outside of universe for a second, from GW, where like this no successors to Space Wolves has actually been a pretty long running thing.
Yeah.
And then they've just with the introduction of Primaris Marines, they introduced the fact that now you can make your own successors.
I think it's about time though, personally.
Yeah.
I like it. There's some.
It keeps me from having to yell at people when they send listener lore. They don't fucking exist. You can't have Space Wolf successors. No,
Until after the
now
Ultima.
you can.
There's some Space Wolf fanboy out there that's like, no,
Mine were before.
mine are from the Space Wolves.
And now you can have that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about
I was so special. My mom always said that.
Space Wolf colors, motifs, and my favorite, fetishes. We're going to really get to know the Space Wolves very intimately right about now. At their inception, the 6th Legion wore gunmetal gray armor, though at some point in its history, they changed to wear their characteristic blue and blue-gray armor. Their armor color is commonly highlighted with red and yellow accents. Very stylish. Their Legion symbol was a snarling red wolf's head, though post-Heresy that has changed to a black wolf's head on a yellow background. This armor is almost always adorned with Vernesian cultural fetishes and runes that are commonly coded references to the history and deeds of the individual bearer. The more script or fetishes or pelts on the armor, the more honor and glory or history is told. That's very cool. Yeah.
I like the idea that it's a living story that's being written as like a physical manifestation, you know?
Yeah, I can just see some Space Wolves have just on their back their whole saga written out.
Yeah, just
and
tattooed or
tattooed out.
Yeah,
on their
absolutely.
Back. Like, yeah.
These are the deeds of Marcus.
No, he's dead already. Just one line on his neck.
No.
Right. There are many different badges and symbols that can mark squads, campaigns, and companies, though all are normally taken from the Phoenician mythology: wolves, bears, trolls, mountains, sea monsters, etc.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you see different symbols all over the place. There's no unifying symbol other than the fact that they're all found on Fenris.
Yeah.
So
And you probably have
the
to-
wolf is the most common.
Of course, yeah.
Naturally.
But you'd have to be more like if you were from Fenris, you'd like understand the stories of like what,
Yeah, you know exactly
what those
what they
things
all mean. Yeah.
But to an outsider, you're just like covered in tats and pelts and fangs and
Yeah,
all
and they
kinds
don't
of-
mean anything. But a space wolf is going to look at the pelt and understand what it means for you to have that pelt.
Oh, that's a nice pelt. What is that? 12,000 hair count?
Yes.
Very fine.
My younger brother is very soft.
Yes. Holy shit.
Yes, I wanted to go there. You went there. All right. Well, that's all for fetishes, I guess.
Yeah.
I was hoping for a little more, but
I don't know. Teeth. They got teeth sometimes on their fetishes.
I was thinking more intimate fetishes. Go on.
This is entering the territory of, you're right, there are no wolves on Fenris. Because what we do to them,
Is not spoken of.
we wouldn't do
polite
that
company.
to wolves. Only to humans.
And this is where the story of the Wolfen was born.
My name is Wolf.
Wolfen son. All right. Moving on.
They're cool. It's cool how like you can very much see their chapter shoulder pad, their company sigil and stuff all over it. I love it.
Even in that respect, though,
Yeah.
they aren't super strict about where you place it.
Yeah.
You know, like you can cover. I think probably one of the only things they would really care about has got to be the chapter symbol of that wolf's head. But truthfully, like, I think you can swap sides on that, and it's not even like that big a deal to them.
There's no codex.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You're doing like what you think brings honor to everyone. So
Yeah.
if you want to wear your company shoulder plate on your left or right side for a little while, that's up to you.
Well, it's probably going to be what your Wolf Lord is doing too.
Sure,
right?
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
They
yeah.
have a strong
Sets the
opinion
tone
on
for
that.
everyone.
That's exactly what you're going to
Yeah.
do. It's not a codex thing. It's a person thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Definitely.
And one may not care so much. And,
Right, yeah.
It's a free for all, but yeah.
Cool. Let's talk about the psychic powers of Fenris.
of the planet itself.
Planet. Well, yeah. How else does it work? Though most learned observers would claim that Rune Priests of the Space Wolves are nothing more than psykers, deriving their power from the warp. The wolves harshly disagree. So that's the psychic powers of Space Wolves. They're just psykers.
It's just denial.
Yeah, just denial.
That's their
That
most
is the
powerful
greatest
weapon.
power.
They believe that their power comes from inside the animalistic spirits of their homeworld Fenris. Their powers are channeled through totems and runes on their armor, which they claim is descended from the shamanistic rituals of the native tribesmen on Fenris. It has also been observed that the Rune Priests seem to have a kind of buffer protecting them from the malign influences of the warp, very similar to the storm seers of the White Scars.
Yeah. So it is.
Going back to the Council of Nikaea.
They are psykers.
Yeah, you call warp by one thing or another,
Yeah.
it's still warp power.
Exactly.
No, it's the weird.
I think I think a little bit of their protection has got to come from their refusal to believe in it. I feel like a lot of what the warp is tied to the power you give it. It's not all the time. A demon coming through is going to fuck you up regardless of whether
don't
you
believe
believe
in
in
you.
the demon, you know? But I think there's something to be said for like a mind that doesn't dwell on a thing. Like there's no
It adds
there's no chink in
A level
the
of
armor
protection,
there, you know?
yeah. Ignorance
So,
is a fortress with its...
yeah,
No, what is it?
There's
Is that it?
something
Yeah.
like that.
It's not
But-
ignorant.
A closed mind is a fortress with its gates.
But I
Right.
think there's a little bit of that going on where
Yeah.
the Rune Priests are so strongly believe that their power comes from the planet itself that it couldn't possibly come from the warp. So they aren't concerned with the warp. Whereas almost every other psyker is going to be like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. I'm
Demons in my head.
Yeah,
Demons in my
yeah.
head.
I'm hearing some chittering coming from behind me, and that's not a good sign, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's definitely a part of what's offering them some
Sure.
protection.
Yeah, like it just increases your willpower and resilience.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
But it's a pretty simple and rationale for a lot of it. But by no means are they not psykers.
yeah.
I want to make that. I want to make that very clear.
Very, very abundant.
They're definitely psykers.
I also like the Emperor giving that edict.
I don't
Like, how do you
get
explain him
anything
letting
that
it
he
go?
does. I don't understand anything that he does.
Yeah,
man. He's so erratic sometimes.
Yeah, because
Well-
like you send them to kill Magnus and censor. And that could be the big tragedy, right? Of the whole story is like, well, they did the same thing. They just didn't, get their planet blown up over it.
I think the Emperor, he turns a blind eye, but like he shouldn't have in that regard. Like if he truly wanted to say like, okay, like we all in this council are agreeing that
psykers.
sorcery powers are not good and they should not be used. All right.
And by agreeing, I mean I'm just telling you.
Yeah. Magnus bad, Logan good, or Lehman were good, like I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to try and compare that, but regardless of what the Emperor did, the wolves definitely don't see it that way.
Yeah. While all librarians are responsible for the cataloging of chapters' history, Rune Priests instead memorize massive sagas detailing the heroic deeds of all those that came before them. In their training, a Rune Priest will spend just 1 year with a great company and must learn its complete history within that time.
Yeah, they spend 1 year with a great company. They have to learn all its history, its traditions, spend time with it, and then they got to move on to the next one.
Cool.
And learn all there. So, yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So Rune Priests are psykers, they're librarians, they're whatever.
They fulfill all the same roles
Yeah.
as other librarians, you
Yeah.
know. There's nothing that special. I would like to talk a little bit about them in some Tales of the Warp stuff,
Yeah,
which
we
we can
got
get
some
into
ideas.
a little later. But other than that, I don't think they're that special,
No,
truthfully.
Yeah, we'll jump into notable characters. We've chosen a couple to share with you.
We didn't tell Peter to pick one, so sorry, Peter.
So he's going to pick one on the spot.
I've just been picking one, yeah.
Oh, okay, good. Excellent.
That'll be ready by the time we get to it.
I can go first since you just talked, Marcus. Okay, cool. I chose Bjorn the Fell-Handed. Bjorn is the oldest living Astartes in the Imperium, having fought alongside Russ and the Emperor during the Great Crusade. His most common title is the Fell-Handed, and the thought is he most likely lost his left hand in the burning of Prospero.
So like his hand fell off, so they're like, haha, fell-handed. Okay.
That's a good dad joke.
Thank you.
He is also called Eldest, True Claw, Revered One, and Last of the Company of Russ.
That's cool.
Yeah. He entered internment in his dreadnought sometime around M32, which would still make him over 1,000 years old by the time he went into it.
Yeah.
That's still a really old boy.
Yeah.
You know?
But he's a good boy that don't get put behind the shed.
He's definitely a good boy.
He gets in the dreadnought.
And though it offered him greater protection and killing abilities, he absolutely despises being caged.
Yeah, it's like kenneling.
I was going to say,
Poor dog. I mean, poor
Yeah.
Space Wolf.
Yeah. It's not ideal.
have you ever met a dog that's happy in a kennel?
No.
They need to be free.
Bjorn has participated in many of the most notable battles of the Space Wolves chapter, such as the Months of Shame, where he negotiated a peace between the Space Wolves and the Inquisition and Grey Knights. So he's like the ultimate authority. Logan Grimnar is the Great Wolf, but you know, Bjorn is the eldest.
Yeah.
He is the true claw. He's the revered one. I like that, even though Logan has like absolute authority over his chapter. Man, Logan is gonna shut up and listen when Bjorn speaks.
Yeah. Anyone in the Imperium.
Yeah. Even like Custodes and Grey Knights kneel before Bjorn, which he absolutely hates. He's not a happy dude. Like we're talking before about, okay, so he's only awoken in times of great need, times of celebration and feasting, such as, you know, a great hunt.
Yeah.
And where he recounts tales and sagas of the chapter's history because he knows so much more than anyone else. But he's not a happy dude. He's like, he lived in the past. He's a relic from the past, from 10,000 years ago, during these like Horus Heresy, the Great Crusade, times of that people can't even begin to understand because they've spent so long living in the fucked up place that the Imperium is now.
Yeah.
Whereas the Great Crusade was supposed to be like an amazing time.
Enlightening.
Yeah.
Gods walking amongst men with
So
the
you
prey
guys
marks
brought
and
into the
Emperor.
propaganda then, did you?
Absolutely, I did. I drink that
Time
juice.
of enlightenment as they fucking purge the entire galaxy.
They're bringing the
We are
light.
enlightened.
They're bringing the light of fire to all
Bolters. But he hates it. He hates talking about Russ. He hates talking about the Emperor. He just wants to kill things. Which is
and die.
honestly, I truly think his greatest wish right now is to be allowed to die.
Sure.
Like, he spent so long, and people just treat him like this relic from a past. He's entered almost like a sort of venerated godhood at this point. Like, everything he says is probably recorded and poured over by thousands of scribes. You know, every place he walks is probably recorded. Every killing blow he wields is picked, recorded, and viewed over thousands of years later. So
Everyone always asks him, how was Russ? But no one ever asks him, how is Bjorn?
how is yours? You know,
Yeah.
let what is dead die already.
Poor guy.
Yeah.
So just every 10 years, every 100 years, they're like, come on, time to wake up, tell us some tales.
He's like, son of a bitch, just let me die. Yeah, I think Bjorn is a tragedy at this point. That poor man, just living in amniotic fluid.
Yeah.
Can't taste, can't drink. Well, maybe they can just pour some
Alcohol in
alcohol
his,
into
vents.
Oh, yeah, no, he needs to be retired to the farm, for sure.
which is another word for the shed and shotgun.
Yeah.
Shotgun and shed. What more iconic duo exists? Hold up. Just a quick thing too. It sounds a lot like Dante, who's lived so long too, and is just so embittered and just
I
like,
get it.
ready to die.
Well, maybe not. I don't get it, but I think it makes sense.
Do you need to talk to someone?
I'm 30 years old. Let me die. I've seen enough.
2020 has been so bad.
Yeah, just let me go already. No, I get it. Like, I think that I like the thought experiment of, if you could live forever, would you?
Yeah.
And I think it's like a cool thing to say yes to, and like, man, what could you see? What could you learn? What could you explore?
And then once you've done it all,
part of me thinks that like there's one adventure that you can never take a part of, and it's death. You know, what comes next? What comes after? And I think that's Bjorn is waiting for his next adventure. Maybe he believes that Russ is dead, and he's just desperate to get to Russ, you know, to the next place. So I get it. I think at some point you are so sick and tired of seeing the people make the same mistakes over and over, seeing a constant degrading of something you fought for, and you saw it at its prime, and now it's just a sickly, palsy, limping, disgusting, diseased shadow of what it should have been.
Even the space wolves around you are like not the
Not the
space
same
wolves
wolves.
you know.
Yes,
like,
absolutely.
like those 30K space wolves were not fucking wolf crazies. No, you know.
Yeah.
And now they're all like, we really like wolves. And you're like,
what is this?
yeah,
What have you become?
okay.
That's the by the emperor right there. By the throne.
What's going on in this thread?
So I get it. Let him die. Let him go out in an amazing blaze of glory that he deserves. Put him on a planet. Give him like some massive bomb that can destroy the whole planet. Just literally drop him from the atmosphere. He doesn't even need a drop pod. He's just gonna like Ross as he drops from the atmosphere. He's gonna
Riding
land
the
on a bomb.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's riding the bomb. Yeah.
Dreadnought surfing it.
Yeah, and then he's gonna destroy an entire planet, like full of orcs or something. You know, let him out.
Yeah.
I like that as a tragedy of 40K though. They'll never let him go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta wake up Grandpa to tell us stories.
You know what? That's very 40K.
Yeah.
Of course,
The
because no one
eternal
gets what they
torture,
want.
yeah.
You know, the whole point is, you want to live, we're gonna kill you. You want to die, we're gonna fucking keep you alive. Bitch, you thought. Okay. Anyways, that's it for me.
I'll do mine next.
Okay.
Ulrich Doomseeker. A little lesser known guy, but he does some cool things. Ulrich Doomseeker is a wolf guard of Logan Grimnar's great company and a member of the Void Claws. The Void Claws are often chosen for their recklessness as much as their skill of arms. Ulrich Doomseeker embodies a measure of his wild bravery, hurling himself across the void between closing warships and charging out across burning hull of the cruiser. In these chaotic space battles, the Void Claws will often find their battlefield bereft of atmosphere or gravity. In these instances, their claws may come to the fore, something Ulrich has proven more than once, anchoring and dragging himself along with his wolf claws to get to his enemies.
He's just puncturing holes in
Yeah.
this ship, trying to.
Yeah,
Get
slicing
in.
people like fucking get sucked out into the behind them. Like, yeah, so basically this dude literally launches himself through space at
For us!
yes.
Bjorn's looking at him. Man, why won't they let me do that?
I just love the image of like, because these massive space cruisers like in 40K are huge and they're like kilometers apart from each other, and you just see this one figure drifting through the stars, and it's dead silent. In his helmet, he's screaming, but it's dead silent. And then he impacts the other ship, and they just hear like a dull thud. And they're like, "What was that? Probably nothing."
Just any other kind of space debris.
Yeah, just some space debris. Yeah.
It's beautiful. Beautiful.
Oh, man.
Rip. Yeah. Fun.
All right.
Fun guy, that Ulrich Doomseeker.
Right. I went with the one and only Logan Grimnar. Goes by the Old Wolf, Fangfather, and High King of Fenris. It's interesting that they see him as like nobility. He's been the Great Wolf of the Space Wolves chapter for almost 700 years, as we mentioned, and he's one of the oldest chapter masters in the Imperium as a whole, which is very crazy. Thinking like, of all the chapters, he's up there with him and Dante and a couple other ones. I'm sure.
Galgar.
Yeah. he's seen a lot and he's done a lot. He doesn't tolerate any outside interference when running the chapter, to the point where the Space Wolves have had numerous clashes with the Administratum and the Ecclesiarchy, and has led to the accusations of heresy or treason.
To which he says,
heresy and treason.
Both.
To which he responds by giving the finger. Yeah, essentially.
You broke the rules. I'm killing you.
He was born of the Iron Blood tribe on Fenris, a renowned warrior fighting against the other tribes and the hostile fauna of his homeworld. He was inducted into the chapter by none other than Ulrich the Slayer. For fans of the Space Wolves, he is the head wolf priest, correct?
Yeah.
Ulrich
Yeah, the chaplain guy.
Yeah. Sorry, I just moved my page down and I got lost. Ulrich the Slayer, who mentored the young pup. So he also mentored him. Yeah, it wasn't that.
Yeah, the young pup.
Yeah. The whelp, even. Logan proved himself a competent warrior and leader, earning his way through the ranks of the Wolves, eventually earning his place as chapter master. His greatest trait, however, is his endless charisma and ability to jest. Ironic that charisma is his talent, yet he fights so many allies.
Yeah, wait.
People really like me, but instead I just kill them.
Thank you, Logan.
We love you.
We love you.
Despite the alleged charisma, Grimnar was head of the chapter during the months of shame, where he was censured by the Inquisition for refusing to allow them to call the population of Armageddon, even going so far as to personally slay a Grey Knight Grandmaster and personally slay the Inquisitor that ordered the Siege of Fenris. So he's personally killed these people.
With, once again, a chaos axe.
It makes no sense
Grimnar
how he's allowed to breathe.
No one gives him permission to breathe. Grimnar was also elected leader of the Imperial forces against Abaddon's forces during the 13th Black Crusade. He even has the renown of fighting against the demon Primarch Magnus himself, able to wound him with his legendary Axe of Mordecai.
Now, compare Magnus model to Logan model.
That's
One
right.
is a 50-foot tall creature, and the other is
Demon Primarch.
Demon Primarch, and the other is just a little mini.
Yeah.
Well, he's riding a sled, though.
Oh,
That
yeah.
gives him some
Oh.
ability.
That gives him an extra 3 feet of height. Come on.
Okay.
The axe itself, the Axe of Mordecai, was forged by Khorne himself and gifted to a Chaos Champion that Logan had slain, and reforged the blade into his own legendary personal weapon.
All right. Let me get this straight.
Yeah.
We have here a Space Marine
Yeah.
who has murdered an Inquisitor,
Yeah.
a Grandmaster of the Grey Knights chapter,
Murdered. Yep.
wields a Chaos weapon,
Made by
forged by Khorne, the god of
Chaos
a god of
War.
chaos, you know, and yet he is perfection. How you say, muy perfecto.
He's very charismatic.
No, guys. I know this looks bad.
I can explain. Hear me out. Drugs.
No? The axe made me do it. No?
Get rid of it. No.
Get rid of you. Okay.
Hold on.
that
You have to
axe?
say
What's that?
Grimnar is distrustful of the new Primaris Marine reinforcements. They should be distrustful of Grimnar. And he is distrustful of Guilliman himself, who he calls Legion Breaker. If people recall, Guilliman was the one who issued the edict to break down the legions. But he's since had a change of heart and adopted the new reinforcements, Primaris reinforcements, into the Legion.
Okay, Grimnar even went so far as to demand a personal
Audience
with Guilliman to tell Guilliman, hey, Guilliman, fuck you. I don't want any of your Primaris. Get them out of here. And
Now get off my planet.
And Guilliman did it. Showed up and then was like, all right, sucks to be me, I guess. Peace out. I'm only the master of the Imperium.
Son of the Emperor.
Yeah, jeez. I don't. Grimnar just makes everybody his bitch.
Grimnar seems to...
Reboot better is lucky he walked out of there alive.
Right. That's right. You think your
The Axe of
stars
Mordecai
would
was saying
fill him on?
something. Grimnar seems to believe that his fate is to die at the hands of the great orc warlord Ghazghkull Magurk Thraka.
Good luck. Knowing what you do, Grimnar, you're gonna fart and
Thraka
Thraka's
will
just
die.
gonna die.
Amongst his other accoutrements, Logan is known for his pelt-adorned suit of Terminator armor with a wrist-mounted Stormbolter. I wonder if he stole it from the Grandmaster that he
Son of a bitch.
He is known for stealing weapons. So.
Yeah,
That's
of his
canon.
slayed enemies. His Axe of Mordecai, which we talked about, and Stormrider, his ancient grav chariot pulled by his Thunderwolves, Tyrenak and Fenrid. Fenrir?
Fenrir?
Fenrid.
Yeah. These wolves have names, and we know what they are. So.
Totally, yes. That's an interesting grav sled because it's the only one that I know about in 40K that seems to
I am
exist.
not a fan.
No,
It's strange.
it's silly.
It's so weird. Why is there only one?
Yeah. And
You want an army of grav sleds. You want the entire chapter riding grav sleds.
I would like wolves pulling army of grab sleds. That would make more sense than one person having
Having a
them.
grav sled.
Yeah, it looks
That's,
weird. He just looks like Father Christmas.
yeah.
I want to see one painted in like red and.
I'm pretty sure I have seen
Yeah.
that.
Put that like the red gobbo on him or
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
the little grot.
Yeah.
Got yourself-
What's with the beard? It doesn't help with the look. But that's all I have for Mr.
Oh,
Grimnar.
Logan, you're the worst.
He's done some things he should be proud of for sure.
Peter?
All right, I went with Engir Krakendoom.
Oh, okay.
Who leads the Sea Wolves. And so Engir Krakendoom famously got his name Krakendoom because
He killed
comes
a
from
Fenris wolf.
He comes from the southern isles of Fenris, and they sail on the seas there. And one day he's just sailing on the sea, and a kraken comes along and pulls him into the water, and then he kills the kraken by choking it to death with its own tentacles.
Oh, wait, is he human at this point?
I don't think so. I would assume that he wouldn't be.
He was a space marine?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. I just, sometimes, like, they just sail the seas as, like, the tribesmen do, you know?
I think they still just enjoy
Right.
sailing.
A little light
They're
sailing
yeah,
on the
that's-
seas of Fenris.
Yeah, simple day on the ocean.
So it drags him down. He's like, nah.
He's like, no, I'm just gonna choke you with. I don't have anything to work with here, but your tentacles. And I don't know how you would choke a kraken.
Takes
to death.
some strong swimming to get around the whole kraken, and then squeeze.
Or he's just a really good storyteller. When he resurfaced.
I mean,
He just fell off a boat and he had to tell this epic story.
No. Didn't you see the kraken?
I killed that thing.
everyone else is like, no, there's no kraken.
So when the sea wolves are in space, they tend to.
They're out of their element.
No, they lead the way for the space wolves.
Oh.
Well, it's just another form of.
That's right.
Ocean.
It just,
That's right.
yeah, they just got some extra dimensions to work in. They're good to go. And one of my favorite things about Engir Krakendoom is that he once led his sea wolves in a boarding action to destroy a 12,000-mile-long, warp-spawned, mutated void whale.
Whoa, 12,000 miles?
Yeah. So think like Moby Dick in 40K,
Yes.
warp spawned, mutated void whale.
You got like, how do you, if you, the size.
This is a man who choked a kraken to death with its own tentacles.
He looked at that void whale and he's like, oh, yes.
Finally!
Yeah. I've been looking for a bigger one.
So if you had two of these things, you could lay them down, and from tail to head, they would wrap around the world.
Like,
So
you-
it's a whole hemisphere of the world.
How
in
deep do you
size.
have to deep into this void whale before you can plant what I assume is hundreds of thousands of pounds of explosives?
It would have to be.
What else could you do?
Oh,
Its
12,000
own
mile
tentacles?
long warp spawn mutated void whales. Very tiny brains. That's all you got to take out.
Crush it in the palm of your hand.
He just shoved his hand into it, found the brain, and squeezed it until the life left this.
Void whale.
And now there's this carcass floating out there.
No, he totally dragged it back to Fenris.
Mounted it on the wall.
The skull is bigger than the fang.
It's just sitting on the pink of the fang. It's like,
well, yeah, because it's in space. You know? He actually just put it in orbit, and then now just this carcass.
it's like a moon
around the
That's
There are no moons, but there is a carcass of a whale. Wow, that's wild.
I just realized things that die in space wouldn't rot.
Oh yeah.
No, but they may be scavenged, and things would hit them, and they would explode.
Oh, I
and
get
fall apart.
It would rain blood on Fenris to add to the mystique.
Have you seen that Rick and Morty episode where
Yes, with the
they
guys-
blow up the guy giant in the sky, and then he explodes, just raining blood down on all of the United States?
That happens.
Wow. Thank you, Peter.
That was a good find.
And
Kraken
gear.
Doom is either the biggest liar of the Space Wolves or...
You know what? That's a talent.
Yeah.
It's definitely like they have contests of eating, drinking, who can tell the best stories.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah. Christian, I believe you wanted to talk a little bit about the mead of Space Wolves.
Yeah, it's just worth mentioning that, like, if you know Space Marines, it's really hard for a Space Marine to get drunk because their liver filters out toxins so efficiently that, like, it's literally impossible.
Yeah.
With anything.
Using our
normal spirits
yes.
and alcohols and everything else. But the Space Wolves have actually been able to create a mead that is able to temporarily, mind you, cause a Space Wolf to become inebriated, but they have to drink a lot of it in very quick succession. And this substance would probably kill a normal human, considering its potency to get a Space Marine drunk. Which they typically give out at feasts and stuff, which the Space Wolves are known for celebrating and having
Yes.
these big, joyous,
Yeah.
ruckus events. So they need the appropriate alcohol.
It
Go
makes
along
me
with it.
wonder, when the Emperor visited Russ and had a drinking competition with him, obviously the Emperor is not getting drunk. He just purge his body whenever he wants of
Yeah.
whatever is in there. So he's like, oh no, I'm totally wasted right now.
You will.
Oh my god, I'm so drunk.
I'm such a sloppy mess.
Yeah, I don't even know what I'm doing. Like,
You want to fight? You want to
Yeah,
wrestle?
You want to conquer the galaxy together? Crazy idea.
do you want to go on a crusade, man?
It could be cool.
You need to go to a local bar and just see if you could pick anyone up. Like, hey man.
Yeah, but it's interesting to note they specifically were like, man, we miss alcohol so much. We need to find something
That will get us drunk.
specifically counters a Space Marine's body so we can get wasted. Good on you, Space Marines, I
Good
guess.
on you. You got to do what you got to do. That's
right.
know?
Okay, let's talk about Tales from the Warp. And for any of you who may have looked, I definitely wrote Tales differently this time. It is a tale
I get it now.
from the Warp.
You can't tell, but I'm wagging my tail. In
That's right.
Joy of this pun.
Tales of the Wolves.
I really only had one thing that I thought was worth mentioning. So Rune Priests, it was said that they channel the animistic powers of Fenris through the use of rune totems and sigils that they inscribe on their armor. I'm assuming on little fetishes that they carry, totems that they carry with them. So that's point A. And point B is that they are known to have a buffer that protects them from the malign influences of the warp. As instant I hear that, I think of the seers of the Eldari race who use runes as a form of manifestation and psychic powering and summoning.
Yeah.
And these runes offer them an actual barrier protecting them from overloading on psychic powers. It stops chaos forces from actually attempting to, dive into the minds of these psykers.
Yeah.
And I wonder, have Space Wolves found the same thing that these Eldari are doing?
Yeah, you could probably imbue anything with warp power to kind of ward you or whatever. You're scrimshawing into some bones or whatever, and then you're also imbuing it with some warp properties.
Sure.
Your faith in the symbols meaning
Yeah.
something. Like, they're not the only ones to do this. Like,
The Storm Seers.
Grey Knights do this. They do. They certain like engraved.
They have
symbols.
Aegis armor, so all of their power armor is engraved with symbols as a measure of protection. But those are spells of protection. They are different because the Space Wolves aren't using... They're not using these runes as protection. They are focusing their power through these runes, which is not what the Grey Knights are doing at all. The Grey Knights, they've like, here's a spell of protection. Here's what it looks like. We're going to carve this into our armor. And the only thing it's going to do is going to protect me.
I would think it works on the same principle though. Like, there's no rules to like, be it like an incantation or a single symbol that means that incantation.
Rules.
Sure, none that are like written. Okay, they are written down in some places.
My
point is,
someone like Ahriman,
Yeah.
like the warp is science. He he does experiments with it. He has like worked his way through different rituals and like.
But that
can
science
come up
looks
with
like
new ones.
sorcery too.
It does to
sometimes,
us, for sure. It would to me, but to someone like the Eldari, it's instinctual. You know, like
Sure.
they grew up with it, and then they need these ruins as a way to help them focus and manifest, and consequently, as a result of them using these runes, it offers them a buffer. And it feels like that is way more what happens here. As a result, an unattended consequence of these Space Wolves using these runes, they have some protection from the warp.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that it's like they've stumbled upon one of the best secrets of 40K.
Yeah.
Like one of the
Don't channel
biggest...
warp through yourself. Channel it through other things.
Exactly. Let these things take the explosive force of the warp if you need to channel something.
I didn't totally understand what you're saying, but yeah, now that you say it like that.
Yeah, like any overload goes into these things, you know,
rather than into your brain.
Exactly. Yeah. So if psykers are supposed to be like one of the most dangerous things of the Imperium, like
just wrap a freaking thing on their neck.
Why don't
we a sigil and be like,
Yeah.
done? Yeah.
It seems interesting to me that they've done this experimentally, kind of, or just over thousands of years of shamanistic tradition. And I wonder if it's something the Emperor was familiar with, knew about. Did he bother caring about it? He doesn't really care about many things, but I think he does believe that psykers are going to be a threat to humanity. I mean, I think his edict at Nikaea is proof enough that he thinks that they can be a threat.
Yeah.
But
and like psykers are already hunted and down, and like we have
Witch hunter.
Exactly. Yeah. I
ships,
think that
the
this
black
can be
ships.
like, this may be a solution to protecting all psykers from
So instead
the
of
warp
the
in themselves.
blanks across the galaxy, now saying we should just put wards across the galaxy.
I'm not saying that blanks won't work,
I'm just saying there's a better way.
but I'm saying it might be easier. To
I
get
think
a
you
bunch
might
of
be a
runes.
witch, Eric.
You leave me and my runes alone.
Yeah.
I thought it was an interesting comparison.
Yeah. I've never read a Space Wolf book. I would never dare.
Yeah.
I would never dare do that.
Why would I choose to subject myself to that?
But if anyone has and they've read a scene with the Rune Priests, it'd be interesting to see how they actually do that. So maybe somebody shoot us a message if they're channeling through. Or
because it could just be a belief on their part that they think they're channeling through these and it doesn't actually do anything.
Yeah.
But if there's a part in it that talks about drawing energy through the rune, using the rune to manifest things, you know, focusing on this sigil and this sigil performing the spell, my money is on that is like very similar.
Yeah. Do on the tabletop, do they suffer perils of the warp?
Yeah. Everyone does though, even Eldari.
Yeah, I know it's a game balancing mechanic, but still.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
The only other question really could be for the Tales of the Warp section would be just wolves on Fenris, but
Are there
Are
wolves
there
on?
wolves on
there
Fenris?
wolves on
Inquiring
Fenris?
minds need to know.
Yeah, it's a whole big thing. I don't think we have a full answer, but I don't know. Did we mention how much if we mentioned? I was
Round
reading
table?
No.
None.
We were talking about it on the break.
Okay.
Can
That's
I do a quick round table about it?
Yeah. So basically, there are no wolves on Fenris. It's a whole big fucking situation.
It's a hoax.
It's a hoax.
It's a government conspiracy.
The original colonists of Fenris were said to be humans that splice themselves with wolf DNA to be able to survive Fenris. Then over time, I guess they turn into full wolves.
They've lost themselves.
But if those
Yeah.
wolves are mating and what they're producing is not...
What wolves? There are no wolves.
So those non-wolves...
Those human wolves.
Those human wolves on
Human
Fenris
wolf hybrids.
are making more wouldn't they become more and more wolf-like over time? Like
Yeah,
you're talking like
maybe.
generation after generation. These aren't humans that were turned into wolves anymore.
So-
these are now the byproduct of those which are going to
Thousands of years.
Yeah,
of-
exactly. They're going to have their own like evolution or adaptations.
I am not a genetic
and-
doctor. Let's get that clear
He's a rune doctor.
right now. I'm a Rune Priest. It's a little different
Yeah.
because I don't use the word. But I'm not a genetic doctor. But when people make changes to their own genetic code, they are changing out less than like 0.001% of their code. Like, it's so drastically tiny, the changes you're making. Maybe they knew how to do it better and they're changing out a little bit more. But there's no way they're changing out so much code that you have a complete set of genetic code of a wolf that, and randomly over time, if you did have a set, sure, it could come together. But I don't think 10,000 years is nearly long enough, because it wouldn't be 10,000. Like, it would be less than 5,000 years from the age of exploration to when they were found.
No. So 2 things. One, this I believe happens during the Dark Age of before the Dark Age of technology, like when humanity first.
Okay, so is this like M15?
I'm bad
So
with the
even
dates.
that 15,000
Hold on,
years is not long enough.
let me finish. So, like, when humans first arrive on Fenris is like pre-Emperor, pre-Great Crusade. What is this period called? Golden Age of technology?
There's the age of exploration.
Sure. So at some point prior to like the Dark Ages that we know. So one,
Yeah.
their technology is beyond science, first of all. So who knows what they're doing with their genetic material?
Okay.
And who knows what kind of after effects that is having that they didn't account for? Or what if they did it intentionally?
Yeah. Well, okay. A couple arguments that I want to make. First of all, if it looks like a wolf and it howls like a wolf,
It's a wolf.
it's a wolf.
I agree. 100% I agree. Because I think there are wolves on Fenris. And I think the
And for
idea...
them to have never been a single wolf on Fenris.
I think the idea that they
all
are
these
all
other
wolf-
creatures.
I feel like the idea that they're all wolfen is bullshit. It's absolute baloney. They're definitely wolves on Fenris. There always have been. They evolve normally. Or they were introduced by humans.
you could have both. It
No.
could be both. Why could there not be wolves and also humans that splice themselves with wolf DNA?
Well, hold on. Why
in order
would there
to
be
better-
wolves there prior to humans?
Why are there kraken there? Why
Sure,
are
sure.
there
Yeah.
trolls there? Why are
I
there
know.
all these other
Okay,
creatures?
yeah, sure. But
How can you breathe the air?
sure.
The wolves are the least controversial thing to have on this planet.
Okay, hold on. Well, no, because the continents constantly change. But anyway,
Yeah, but
There's still a main
Asahheim doesn't.
content.
sure.
Yeah, content.
Okay, hold on. Also, there are other breeds of wolf. I think is something we never really talked about
On Fenris?
on Fenris.
Right.
Yes. So you
There's
have like
the-
the. Go for it, Peter.
No.
No, you probably did the reading. I didn't do the reading.
No, but they're not all the hyper
Fenrisian wolves.
Fenrisian
Yeah.
wolves. There's other wolves.
Yeah, there's like,
Would be,
a
lesser.
chameleon style wolf that like can turn invisible or like cloak into the
Oh,
environment.
yeah, that's totally fine.
That's why there's no wolves on Fenris. I just can't,
You
see,
can't
them.
see them.
Yeah.
Look,
Yeah.
there's all these wolfen running around out there doing who knows what with these other wolves, making new kinds of wolves.
I am convinced that Wolfen didn't exist until Lehman Russ. I think that was him with like, oh my god, I love this idea of the wolves, and you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to impart some of that genetic code into my guys. So I don't think Wolfen existed before the Canis Helix in the Space Wolves. And anyone who believes that, I don't care. Anyone who doesn't believe that, I don't care. No, I think that it's a runaway line that got away from someone, and it's turned into this huge meme.
Yeah. The original line of "There are no wolves on Fenris" is metaphorical. Magnus says it. He's like, "There are no wolves on Fenris. Like, you guys are fucking puppies. You're not wolves. You say you're wolves, but you're not."
He also could be
You're
saying
not
like,
powerful.
they're all like, you're all beasts to me. Like, what's the difference between you and that wolf? Nothing. There are no wolves. Like, yeah, you're a pup. You hold no power. You hold no authority.
Yeah, he said it as like an insult. Is what
Exactly.
it definitely sounds like. And then you get other authors kind of adding to it, and now you got somebody saying, "Well, maybe
Look
there
at all
are
the times
humans."
it said there's no wolves.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you're trying to make human wolf hybrids to try to explain this fucking weirdness. Yeah, you just get confused quick.
Even if there were no wolves on Fenris, even if that is true that it was human stuff, I don't want to hear about it.
I choose ignorance.
Keep your stupid wolf brother, wolf kin, wolf lover to yourself, okay? I don't give a shit who you made love to or what you made love to or whether you're going to make love to that wolf, okay?
You just offended all the
Stick to
Space
your
Wolf
Vikings.
fans.
Stick to your Viking stuff. I like that.
Viking files, fine.
That's right.
Wolfle files, not
Get 'em
cool.
outta here.
Get them out of here.
Well, let's not go crazy here. All right, so there's common Fenrisian wolves. Then there's the black-maned wolf. Then there's the thunder wolf. There are also the cyber wolves.
Yeah, but those are artificial, obviously.
Right. But and then there's frost wolves, which would be the lower ranking.
I'd like to collect all these
type
Pokemons,
of-
I think.
That was my Skillmon character that we played for Deathwatch. All I wanted to do was collect wolves.
Skillmong. Man, that's a throwback.
Yeah.
Fuck. Yeah. I don't know. People are going to have to make up their own mind if they like this, if they don't.
It's too ambiguous.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's at this point GW has kind of realized like some people really like it, some people don't. We don't care.
keep writing it both ways.
Yeah,
then.
exactly.
Let's just make the most amount of money
Yeah.
off both sides.
So okay, did we go around the table? I say there are wolves on Fenris. Peter?
Absolutely, there are wolves
Okay.
on Fenris.
It's indisputable that there are wolves on Fenris now. It's about how they got there is the question.
Get your thumb out of your butthole and give us a real answer.
Sure.
Is it true? Did the wolf population come from humans?
We don't know.
Okay.
We don't know. The science is not there.
Aside, Christian.
I refuse.
Okay.
Okay.
And Marcus?
Yeah. Space wolves do exist, unfortunately. I've come to that conclusion.
Unfortunate
They
realization.
are a very real thing, and they haunt my dreams.
I've spent the last 3 hours trying to deny it. I can do it no longer.
Not do it any longer.
I've been broken down.
No, that was actually a fairly decent episode. I think we made it to the end of our notes.
That was all. Yeah, that's all she wrote.
Yeah, no, very cool. I make fun of Space Wolves. They got some very cool things. They got some weird things, but
They're so easy to meme, and it's
Yeah.
unfortunate because
Yeah.
there are some really cool aspects of them that make them really unique.
And then there are really infuriating aspects as well.
I think I hate Space Wolf players more than I hate. In fact, I don't even know if I hate Space Wolves at all, because if there were no Space Wolf players, I'd probably really enjoy Space Wolves.
that makes sense. Yeah.
Huh.
Interesting.
Interesting.
The things you learn about yourself.
Yeah. A little bit of introspection gives you. Well, what we should do is we should thank all of our new Patreons.
Yeah. Thank you all so much for contributing. If you want to contribute to the show, if you just listen to this whole thing, you owe us $1. And technically only 50 cents goes to me, 50 cents to Eric. And technically the government takes 30% of that.
Son of a
so,
biscuit.
You know, you can support the show. It doesn't cost that much. And you can give
Yeah.
me 50 cents. It's fine. It's not a big deal. I'll take it. I'll take your 50 cents.
Ah, yes. And don't forget Eric's Pleasure Podcast.
People pleasers.
People pleasers. I'm actually going to list out our new patrons before I go any further. Thank you to That Kraka. Thank you to Onsman, to Thunderchild, Jamie, Andrea, James, Nene Skachow, Gold Bold, Cliff, Wolford. Oh, that's very
Wolford.
appropriate. And Gibson. Thank you guys so much
thank
for
you.
contributing to our show.
Yeah.
It's thanks to you that we're able to keep doing it and make it a success. Thank you to Christian. Unfortunately, this was your last episode, but you know what? It was a good one.
Are you going to take me behind the shed now?
What? No, not at all.
I don't see why
There
we
is no Christian on earth.
And thank you to Peter.
My pleasure.
Yeah, I know you really like Space Wolves, so it's right up your alley.
I learned a lot as well.
You always do on these.
Now there's so much to unlearn.
Like,
Well, that's a lot of useless knowledge.
and I guess we will see you guys on our next episode. Do we want to tell them what it is?
We already have. People don't believe us, though. Believe it or not, it is the Emperor. The
Oh.
next episode.
Oh,
No,
yeah, we're
I don't believe it.
totally
Yeah.
doing the
Believe
Emperor.
it. Like, remember when I said Imperial Knights and I said Space Wolves? You can
Yeah.
count. I'm reliable.
No, yeah, we're totally not setting you up for failure on this. We're totally doing the Emperor.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I guess we'll see you guys on our next episode.
See you on the flippy flop.